What's up guys, this is your favorite fanfic YouTuber, the Fanfic Majesty, and welcome to another amazing video. You can follow me on Patreon for exclusive stories. 3L Chapter 41 Your Majesty gave too much, 2/4 please vote for flower evaluation. What a world-class joke. Mobilize such a huge high-end combat force, as well as low and mid-range elite military forces. The defense strength of the entire naval headquarters will be reduced to an unimaginable level. If you are not careful, after the hostile forces learn of this situation, naval headquarters may even encounter a large-scale raid. Impel down the large underwater prison, and the most violent riots are more likely to occur. If someone were to rob the prison at this moment, there would be no support from naval headquarters, both internally and externally. Impel down must be broken, immediately. Thousands of heinous criminals escaped from prison, with unimaginable consequences. Finally, back to the Espada Legion. The remaining 8, no matter how useless they are, must have the strength of a vice admiral. The top 3, no matter how weak they are, will probably not be any weaker than the veteran elite vice admirals. To deal with such a powerful kingdom, I'm afraid we will have to drain all the naval headquarters' combat power. In this case, it is better to recruit the opponent directly. Take Shichibukai for example. Although some Shichibukai are still doing evil, they are still under Marines' control, right? In fact, 5 Elders has not thought about this issue. However, after considering the special characteristics of the Oganjana kingdom, I gave up directly. Keeping such a powerful kingdom is always a disaster. It would be better to just let the naval headquarters launch a war and destroy it. It can not only weaken the power of naval headquarters to a certain extent, but also eliminate the worries of the world government. Why not do it? After all, the world government allocates hundreds of billions of dollars to naval headquarters every year to maintain troops for thousands of days and use them for N hours. The world government will not watch naval headquarters continue to grow. When the time comes, it is not what the 5 Elders want to see. This is something Sengoku, Commander He, Garp, and even Kong all know very well. I know. After deploying the fleet within 3 days, we will immediately launch a buster call to go to the Oganjana kingdom to carry out the annihilation mission. Putting down the information in his hand, Sengoku looked at Guernica and said. The arrow had to be fired when it was on the string, and now Sengoku could only do it. However, naval headquarters certainly cannot simply follow orders. At the very least, the world government must devote a lot of resources to naval headquarters. Sengoku's eyes became extremely sharp, and there was a shrewd light in them. 3 days. Guernica frowned calmly. The usual buster call is that once someone presses the golden phone bug, it will start immediately. Oh. This time, 5 admirals and dozens of marine vice admirals will be dispatched, 100,000 elite marine soldiers. That's okay. It is still possible for the 5 admirals to gather within 3 days, but if it is necessary to gather 100,000 elite marines, Guernica is not very promising. How can it be so easy to deploy elites? However, these have nothing to do with him. Well, farewell, Your Majesty Marshal. Guernica nodded, turned and left the Marshal's office. After Guernica left the Justice Building in Naval Headquarters, a figure suddenly appeared next to him. The person who came was clearly another CP0 member who was accompanying him. Mission accomplished, let's go. He didn't pay much attention to his CP0 colleague Guernica who suddenly appeared. He said casually and took the lead to move forward. Naval Headquarters still needs 3 days to deploy manpower to launch the buster call, but their CP0 does not need to wait for Marine to set off. They have more important tasks. That is to go to the Oganjana kingdom again and find the real hiding place of the national treasure. However, what Guernica didn't notice was when the two turned around. The hot wind blowing from the coast lifted the hat of another CP0, revealing the back of his head for a moment. Hidden in the hair, emitting extremely weak fluorescence, the black gear. This CP0 is one of the 2 CP0 members who escaped from the Oganjana kingdom. It can be said that the CP agency has been discovered by many hollows from the moment it entered the Oganjana king's city. It was Roy's credit that these 2 people were able to leave alive. He selected one of them to become a chess piece in his hand, and then let the other CP0 go, allowing both of them to escape at the same time to avoid attracting attention if one of them escaped alone. In other words, any strategy carried out by the world government and the five elders against the kingdom of Oganjana through CP0 will be known to Roy in advance. Only by knowing yourself and the enemy can you be victorious in every battle. Roy will not underestimate the strength of his opponent just because his own side is strong. Under the mask, CP0, who was controlled by the Dark Gear, showed a strange smile. This kind of power that is several times stronger is so exciting. I must make more contributions to His Majesty Roy and become stronger. CP0, wearing a fox face, roared passionately in his heart. From that day on, he was caught and controlled and implanted with this black gear by that man. He was a little scared at first, but after receiving the blessing of the Dark Gear, he was completely addicted. Without him, it was all because of the power of the Dark Gear that increased his strength several times. You're so excited. Sorry, five elders, Guernica, I didn't want to do that either. However, His Majesty gave too much. Chapter 42 Unparalleled Empire Template. 2/4 Please vote for flower evaluation. The Kingdom of Oganjana. After a month of recruitment training, 50,000 recruits have begun to take shape. Including the original 15,000 soldiers and the 60,000 soldiers recruited by the two countries, the current Oganjana Kingdom has 125,000 soldiers. In addition to daily physical training, these soldiers receive no additional special training every day. Either fighting against ordinary hollows and being tortured, or exercising their willpower and courage under the shroud of Jillian Manos Grande's Ryatsu. I have to say, the effect is surprisingly good. As mentioned before, it is affected by the special rules and energy of this world. Ordinary humans can also see the existence of hollows, and even cannons can have actual effects on hollows. Under such conditions and through hard training and special training, the physical fitness and strength of the soldiers throughout the kingdom increased rapidly. Coupled with the customized training plan of Shiosi, the former naval headquarters rear admiral, the strength of army soldiers will inevitably catch up with the marine elite in the future, and finally surpass them. After all, naval headquarters does not have such conditions. There will be a large group of monsters watching you every day, torturing you from morning till night. And Jillian Manos Grande helps you exercise your willpower and courage, and even improve your soul pressure. Every day, I spend time with these monsters. Although there is an absolute order engraved by Roy, it is not allowed to take action against the country's own people. But every day you face a monster that looks like it wants to eat you, a soldier who grew up in this environment. When facing foreign enemies, they are as fierce as tigers, and no ordinary kingdom can withstand them. These soldiers are the brave vanguard group in Roy's hands that will launch a large-scale national war in the future. The best soldiers among them were organized into a regiment by Roy. Tiger Pioneer Regiment, totaling 20,000 people. The general strength can survive 5 minutes in the hands of low-level cannon fodder. For ordinary humans, this is already a very good result. In addition, as early as a month ago, Roy asked COC to train 500 elite soldiers. To this day, only 50 people have successfully mastered armament hockey. These 50 people were included in the elite files and served as key training targets. Became the sharp knife group under Shiosi's hands. According to Roy's own wishes, he can continue to summon characters to continuously improve the strength of the kingdom. However, the foundation stone underneath must also be solid. Ding! The legend of your kingdom is widely spread. The reputation value reaches the standard, and the comprehensive national strength reaches the standard. Open the Unparalleled Empire template. Your kingdom is currently at level 1 and will receive a draw buff reward in 2,000 source coins. Currently, one kingdom buff attribute can be extracted. Do you want to extract it? Sudden. Roy, who was holding a rich soft elastic and white rabbit pillow, paused for a moment. What's wrong? A puzzled expression appeared on Urza's pretty face. You dog man. How come you suddenly stopped doing your normal business? Extract. Although he didn't quite understand what was going on, Roy knew very well that this was not a bad thing for him. Ding! Congratulations on getting the first kingdom increase buff, Power of the Tiger and Leopard. Power of the Tiger and Leopard. All the people recognized by the Kingdom of Oganjana and those who identify with the kingdom will receive the strength, speed, and physique of the tiger and leopard, and the 3 attributes will be strengthened. Hey guys, what the hell is this? Is it true that everyone is as fierce as a tiger? Roy was shocked. The first reward of the newly opened Unparalleled Empire template was so generous. Equip the buff effect. No. After Roy thought for a moment, he immediately chose no. Such a heaven-defying buff effect cannot be used casually. Otherwise, when the time comes, people in the entire kingdom will suddenly find that they have become infinitely powerful, with explosive speed, strength, and physique. I don't know what will happen, what kind of trouble will be caused. The best way to deal with it is to operate it yourself and then wear it to complete the national ascension ceremony. System, please explain. His body twitched violently, and Roy calmly muttered to himself. Urza. Ding, Wushuang Empire template. The kingdom controlled by the master continues to improve its overall strength and level up. Every time you level up, the owner will get a chance to extract buff effects, as well as generous unpredictable rewards. In addition, half an hour later, with the final blow, the dam releases its torrent. Roy also completely understood the function of the Wushuang Empire template explained by the system. We have been playing Emotion for a month, and the system is still a king development and summoning flow system. View Kingdom panel properties. After comforting Urza, who had gained a lot for a moment, Roy muttered silently. Open black lens bracket Oganjana Kingdom close black lens bracket National Strength, 890, comprehensive. Reputation. 1021 level. 1, National Power x1, Reputation x2 to upgrade by 1 level. Buff. Power of Tiger and Leopard, not worn, Main Island, Omad Giant Island. Main City. Jana Royal Capital, Lance Town, Ice Town, Loluo Town, Omat Town Old Royal Capital, 7 villages. Click to view details. Its islands. Paroli, Soak Towns, abbreviated. Click to view details. Land area. 21,400 square kilometers. Population. 115 plus 47.4 equals 1.624 million. It's really quite big, the land area. After reading the kingdom's digitized attribute panel, Roy clicked his tongue. It can be said that such a land area is equivalent to 5 Wano-kuni. It's just that it's only such a small area. Roy was slightly upset. Moreover, the comprehensive national power of the Oganjana kingdom is too low. Tomzi. What is the comprehensive national strength of world government? Count world government alone. Curious, Roy asked in his mind. World government comprehensive national strength, 12,800. Chapter 43 Summoning. Shadow Emperor. 3/4 please vote for flower evaluation. 12,800. Roy was surprised when he heard the answer given by the system. But I soon felt relieved. Thinking back on the development of the world government for 800 years, during this period it has attracted many joining countries and sucked the flesh and blood of these kingdoms. It is indeed normal to have the comprehensive national strength we have today. The comprehensive national strength of the Okugana kingdom is only a fraction of that of others. After the Buster Call incident is over, let's reopen the country and restart foreign trade. Because of the recent major events in the Oganjana kingdom, there have been no foreign merchant ships and tourists coming here for half a year. If it hadn't been for conquering the kingdoms of the 2 white-eyed wolves and obtaining a large amount of gold, silver, treasures and supplies, the Oganjana kingdom would have been in some trouble. It doesn't matter if no one dares to come. Wait until he crushes all the Buster Calls launched by naval headquarters. Then you won't be afraid that no one will come, but you should be afraid that too many people will come. Joke. How majestic and terrifying is a kingdom that can annihilate even the top Buster Call fleet of naval headquarters. In real time, whether they are looking for information, admirers, or people who are curious to join in the fun and check in. It is conceivable that the Oganjana kingdom will definitely become the most eye-catching and influential existence in the world by then. Suddenly, Roy's face showed a strange expression. After cleaning up, he left the inner room of the palace. After a while, I came to the huge study room. It is said to be a study room for office use, but in fact it is not an exaggeration to say it is a small library. Spacious and bright office area, sitting on the leather sofa chair at the desk. Oh, is it finally here? I'm getting a little bored waiting. Quote. After ending the conversation with the controlled CP0, Roy said to himself while supporting his jaw. Haha, the remaining 8 Espadas are all soldiers and generals, so they don't exist. That's right, then I have to create a big surprise for you. He recalled the information reported to him by CP0, who was controlled by Dark Gear a few days ago. Roy suddenly felt like laughing. Looked at the remaining source currency balance. 11,940. Just in time for a Byakugan 10 company and a Golden 10 company. I originally thought that the source currency would not be enough. But after looking at Roy, I realized that he had turned off the system prompts. I found out after checking the records. Yammy got 390 source coins after killing Felix, plus 530 source coins after recently killing CP6, and 350 source coins from the dead CPO female agent. A total of 1270 origin coins. Demon Bazaar and Admiral Army Shiose led the army to conquer the two kingdoms, and once again annihilated another 70,000 army soldiers. Another 7,200 source coins were obtained. Finally, adding the remaining source coins, a total of 11,940 source coins remain. P.S. There is also the previous ability of the saber-toothed tiger. These are all missed details. This is the mistake of the rabbit, and I have applied for permission to modify it from the editor. Sorry. System. Let's summon a Silver 10 company first. It's still the familiar summoning space of the cosmic starry sky. As Roy finished speaking, the white and silver stars shone brightly. Ding. You spent 1,000 source coins to perform the Silver 10th summon. You obtained the following summons. Ding. Congratulations on summoning the hot weapon, Infinite Bullets Golden Desert Eagle. Ding. Congratulations on summoning the character, the third Espada subordinate officer, Sun. Ding. Congratulations on summoning the character, the third Espada subordinate officer, Apache. Ding. Congratulations on summoning the character, the third Espada subordinate officer, Mira Rhodes. Ding. Congratulations on summoning 30 vehicles, Shinigami Captain level Ryatsu. Ding. Congratulations on summoning the innate ability, Shadow Emperor. Ding. Congratulations on summoning the blood succession limit, Ice Escape. Ding. Congratulations on summoning 10 members of the Quincy team. Ding. Congratulations on summoning 300 members of the Quincy Guards Knights. Ding. Congratulations on summoning the special magic, Giant Transformation. Ding. You have obtained the third Espada subordinate officer, Sun, Apache, Mira Rhodes, Many Quincy. 30% of the strength, natural abilities, and their equipment weapons. Good guy. This is the first Bayon 10th summon, and it actually yields such amazing results. Roy couldn't believe it. The silver level is already so high, what about the next gold 10 consecutive summons? Moreover, they also took out all 3 subordinate officers of Haribel's wife. Are you not going crazy with these 3 sisters now? And the system, stop playing tricks. If you keep doing this, Muguruma Kensai will really cry and faint in the toilet. How can we always use 6 Karsang as the unit of measurement for combat power? This time, no cannon fodder appeared. Seeing that there was no note from the cannon fodder in the 10th company, Roy was a little unbelievable. Quincy. Could it be that the system is planning to release a Quincy series for him? Interesting. Think about the abilities of the members of the Star Cross group in the original book, which are comparable to BUG level holy writing abilities. Roy was starting to look forward to it. The final giant turning magic. The moment he saw this magic, Roy thought of one thing first. Gigantization. Mermaid Princess Shirahoshi. In this way, the computer will have a large enough plug-in adapter. Ahem. This is a bit far-fetched. Talk about it later. System. Golden 10 consecutive summons. Ding. You spent 10,000 source coins to perform the Silver 10th summon. You obtained the following summons. Ding. Congratulations on summoning a character, a member of the Star Cross group. Chapter 44 The King of Fusion. Bambietta. Acedes. 4 quarters. Please vote for flower evaluation. Ding. You spent 10,000 source coins to perform the Golden 10 consecutive summons. You obtained the following summons. Ding. Congratulations on summoning the character, Star Cross Group member E. Bambietta Basta Marriage. Ding. Congratulations on summoning the character, Ice Queen, Acedes. Ding. Congratulations on summoning 300 members of the Quincy Patrol Knights. Ding. Congratulations on summoning 500 elite, Quincy, guards. Ding. Congratulations on summoning the substitute messenger, the world. Ding. Congratulations on summoning 7 Dragon Balls, 3-star Dragon Ball. Ding. Congratulations on summoning the character, the 5th Espada, Neutra Gilga. Ding. Congratulations on summoning the flawless version of Rinnegan. Ding. Congratulations on summoning the character, the 6th Espada, Grimjow Jaegerjaquez. Ding. Congratulations on summoning the innate ability, King of Fusion. Ding. You have obtained Star Cross members E. Bambietta Basta Marriage, Acedes, the 5th Espada, Neutra Gilga, the 6th Espada, Grimjow Jaegerjaquez, etc., and many have been destroyed. Queshy. 0.30% of his strength, innate abilities, and his equipment and weapons.
Quote. After all the golden light groups in front of you disappeared. Feeling that his whole body suddenly exploded like a missile at this moment, and his strength increased a lot, Roy breathed out heavily. This feels so good. What's even more exciting is that this time, after 210 consecutive summons, the results were simply explosive. Not only did he summon powerful characters from the Star Cross group, unlock a new series of character card pools, he also gained several talents. If the Bread Vampire Dio was summoned, Roy would have to press his head, make a hole in his temple and say, "Yes, I'll be gagged too." As a rule, first look at the detailed information on things like talents and abilities. Roy was not in a hurry to summon the characters and sat on a comfortable leather office chair after exiting the summoning space. Click to view the detailed information of the summoned items one by one. First of all, Roy opened the panel introduction to the talent ability, King of Fusion. Open black lens bracket King of Fusion close black lens bracket. Quality. Platinum. Type. Fusion. Creation. Effect. Integrate several talents, abilities and skills into one to create a stronger King of Talents. And the original abilities and skills will not be lost. Note. Items, equipment, weapons and props have the same effect. Rating. Awesome. ×3. Great smart form. After reading the detailed panel introduction of the Fusion King's talents and abilities, Roy only had one thought. Powerful, invincible and strong. This talent was indeed as good as he expected. Roy had already thought about the talents, abilities and skills he would acquire as he summoned more and more characters. Weapons, equipment, props, treasures and items will also become more and more complex. There were so many complex talents, abilities, skills, and equipment that Roy felt a headache. Therefore, he really wanted a similar ability like the Cute King that could solve this problem. And the system that sensed Roy's strong thoughts did as he wished, allowing him to summon the ability to solve this problem. The King of Fusion emerges at the historic moment. The more question marks there are, the greater the potential. From the looks of it, the potential of this innate ability is terrifying.
The problem that had troubled him for many days was finally solved, and Roy relaxed a lot. Then check it out. Open black lens bracket the world close black lens bracket quality. Platinum. Type. Spiritual soul, substitute effect. Having a body-linked stand-in has incredible power. The stand-in is powerful and can pause time. Evaluation. After being strengthened by some mysterious power, he obtained transcendent evolutionary improvement. The damage is entirely borne by the substitute. After the substitute dies, it will absorb energy and slowly regenerate. After merging with you again, time will increase. Open black lens bracket flawless Rinnegan close black lens bracket quality. Platinum, type, eye technique, creation. Effect. Both eyes have magical and powerful abilities, the legendary Eye of Creation. Rinnegan is used by owners without side effects. Comments. Comes with Sage Body. In addition to Chadanla, it can also be used with other energy sources. Open black lens bracket Shadow Emperor close black lens bracket quality. Platinum genre. Manipulation, darkness. Effect. Freely enter the Shadow World and be able to dominate everything in the Shadow World, including creating Shadow Core and 9 ghostly creature core. Evaluation. The Emperor of the Shadow World, billions of shadow creatures bow to him. Blood succession limit ice escape, quality, gold. Type. Fusion, Bloodline ability effect. Comes with wind and water chakra attributes, and is proficient in wind style and water style ninjutsu. The ability to manipulate ice. Comment. The magician is knocking on your door, wanting to learn magic without chanting. Open black lens bracket magic jaundization close black lens bracket quality. Platinum type. Ancient magic. Effect. After activating magic power, you can control any part of your body or your whole body to become a giant. The maximum value is -10 to 100 times, depending on the user's magic power. Evaluation. It has already grown to a huge size, so it's not surprising that it can shrink relatively, right? The remaining 3-star Dragon Ball and the Infinite Bullet Desert Eagle are also of no use for the time being. The former is platinum grade because it is not petrified, while the latter is silver grade.
Now that you have read everything, then, come out, my soldiers. Roy raised his hand and waved casually. Several summoned Uzumaki doors suddenly appeared. Chapter 45 Acede's Love. Powerful Attributes. 1/4 Please vote for flower evaluation. Summons the Uzumaki gate to appear. A pair of long military boots stepped out of Uzumaki's door first.
She has long hair that reaches her waist, with bright black and purple hair, and a pair of slender palms pressing her military cap, revealing a delicate yet arrogant Lolita face. Wearing a white cape and a white military uniform that bulged in front of his body. The lower body is a white pleated short skirt. Star-Cross member E, leader of the female team, Bambietta Basta is getting married. The captain of the 4-girl group of the Star-Cross Legion. Oh, and there's also the pervert cross-dressing boss Gigi. This guy is a real pervert. Following her were several of the most powerful Quincy captains, deputy captains, and brigade captains. This was summoned by Roy selectively. We can't summon all the Quincy, right? This can only be taken outside later, and then all will be released. After Bambietta came out, from an Uzumaki door next to her, a man also wearing a white military uniform and white military boots came out. The dark blue hair that hangs down past her waist is matched with the woman's proud and delicate face. The whole person is so awesome that she is full of aura of royal sister and queen. Ice Queen Acedes. Next to the two women, 2 Uzumaki doors opened, and 2 men came out with grins and happy smiles. A boy with a sunny smile and a boy with a healthy smile. One collar is in the shape of a circle, commonly known as a round head, and the corners of the mouth are grinning almost to the base of the ears. Wearing an eye patch over his left eye, his face is filled with a healthy smile. He was carrying a huge weapon with 2 figure-8 crescent-shaped blades on his waist, an iron chain connected to the end of the handle, and a black death scythe weapon at the other end. Coming out with him was a young man with light blue broken hair. With his hands in his pockets, his unruly expression showed a big mouthful of white fang, and there were half a row of neat fangs hanging on one cheek, revealing a sunny smile. The last Uzumaki door opened, and 3 girls with different faces came out. Sun, Apache, Mira Rhodes. Haribel's 3rd subordinate officer. Bambietta Basta's marriage. Acedes. Neutra. Grimjow. Sun, Apache, Mira Rhodes. The patrol leader, the guard leader, the elite guard leader. See His Majesty the King. Looking at a dozen people, half kneeling in front of him, Roy nodded with satisfaction.
I have to say this is really cool. If all these people at the scene were released, the whole world would be turned upside down before long. And they are the very powerful subordinates in his hands.
Only obey and submit to his orders. Get on your feet, there's no need to be so cautious about your words and deeds. Roy raised his hand, and everyone's half-kneeling figures were slowly lifted up to stand upright. This method suppressed some people. Thank you, Your Majesty the King. After feeling that Roy had no ill intentions, everyone secretly breathed a sigh of relief. Interesting. In front of the crowd, they looked at Roy's handsome face. Acedes stared hard, imprinting Roy's every-minute change in his mind. So cute, Your Majesty Roy, yeah, seems like yes. Seeing Ace's beautiful queen's face that was starting to turn slightly red, Roy responded with a shallow smile. Then, the properties of the crowd panel were opened. It's just that he didn't realize it at the moment, but his smile made the cold ice girl Ochaku fall in love with him completely. On the other side, Bambietta glanced at Espada coldly and said nothing. However, when his eyes looked at Roy, there was an expression of affection. Open black lens bracket Espada close black lens bracket level. Gold intermediate innate abilities. Demonic essence, swordsmanship master, fighting master, war logical thinking, tuning master. Race. Human equipment. Imperial equipment, devil's essence, sword, western sword.
Favorability. 95. Loyalty. 100 max. Comprehensive evaluation. The Ice Queen is extremely simple and longs for sincere love. At the same time, she is cruel and terrifying, and often kills dozens or millions of queens from other races. Comma. Open black lens bracket Bambietta basta marriage close black lens bracket. Level. Gold advanced. Innate abilities. Holy Word E critical strike, Quincy complete holy body, Shadow Realm, flying scythe kick. Race. Quincy. Equipment. Star Medal, Holy Annihilation Arrow, Forked Short Saber, Annihilation Cross. Favorability. 80. Loyalty. 100 max. Comprehensive evaluation. He has a cruel personality and willful behavior. He does not allow anyone to refute him, and he will not allow himself to be wronged in the slightest. Once angry, it becomes a cluster bomb. Comma. Open black lens bracket Neutra Gilga close black lens bracket. Level. The highest level of gold. Innate abilities. High-speed regeneration, Sero, ring spin, finger search, negation bandit, black accent. Race. Manos Grande, Arankar. Equipment. Zanpakuto Crying Mantis. Favorability. 60. Loyalty. 100 max. Overview. Comma. Open black lens bracket Grimjow Jagerjackes close black lens bracket. Level. Gold advanced. Innate abilities. Steel skin, sound spin, Wangshu's flash, Sero, detection circuit, clearing the air, black cavity. Race. Manos Grande, Arankar. Equipment. Zanpakuto Leopard King. Favorability. 60. Loyalty. 100 max. Comprehensive evaluation. An impatient little leopard who is unruly, disobeys orders, often acts without permission, and has his own way of doing things. Comma. Sun, Apache, Mira Rhodes. The panel attributes of the last few remaining captains, deputy captains and captains of Quincy.
Roy scanned them all roughly. Not surprisingly, they are basically silver intermediate to silver advanced, the highest level of strength. After reading everyone's panel attributes, Roy was about to say something. A figure flew towards him very quickly. Chapter 46 The Rainy Season in Butterfly Valley. Integrate natural abilities. 2/4 please vote for flower evaluation. Poof, this expression is great too. Roy, the figure that fell on Roy was naturally Espada who had completely fallen in love with Roy at the first sight. It was obvious that Roy was checking everyone's attribute panel, but under Espada's love filter, it was clear that he had been looking at her. After being watched for a while, love comes in a hurry like a tide. Just like a light rain in the outside world soaks the spring-filled Butterfly Valley, the grasslands are also covered by light rain, flowing quietly through every place, and finally seeping into the ground. Espada's whole body was pressed against Roy's figure, and he moved his body up and down to express his love for Roy. Woo! The violent movement caused the huge granary hidden in front of Espada's to open up a little. Roy felt as if the soft, fragrant clouds in the sky were playing with him.
Caught off guard, he ate Yunduo until he was full. Hey, you guy, get off of His Majesty Roy. Seeing this situation, Bambietta was immediately unhappy. Damn it, how could there be such a shameless woman? They are obviously new to this world and have become His Majesty Roy's subordinates. How come they can be so shameless and directly attached to him as soon as they come up? Quote. The rest of the people, Inatra, Grimjow, the three sisters, and the Quincy did not speak. Inatra and Grimjow had no interest in females at all and would not even look at them. The Quincy's also lowered their heads deeply and remained silent. Sun, Apache, and Mira Rhodes lowered their heads and took a few secret glances. They were not as noisy and arrogant as Bambietta. From the moment they were summoned, they could smell the familiar scent. That is the soul breath coming from their eldest sister, Harabelle. The smell of the blend of the two is absolutely unmistakable. It seems that the eldest sister of the three of them seems to have a deep relationship with His Majesty, so they can be considered people with background, right? There is His Majesty Roy behind them supporting them, so even if they make some small mistakes in the future, it should be fine. This is a solid backstage, the kind that supports the sky and is unshakable. Haha. Little sister, don't be impatient. Bo. Seeing that Roy looked like a drunken man who had eaten enough, Espada tidied up his clothes and then stood up.
Before getting up, he pressed a kiss on the corner of Roy's lips. Then she stood behind Roy, acting as a personal bodyguard and secretary. You guy. Being provoked by Espada in such a playful way, Bambietta's lungs were about to burst with anger. I wish I could give her an impressive lesson directly. Ahem. Okay, little Bambi, Espada was just joking with you. You are not allowed to fight in private. If you let me know who is dueling in private, I will not let him off lightly, do you understand? This sentence is not just for Bambietta and Espada. It is also a warning to Neutra and Grimjow, as well as the Quincy. Neutra and Grimjow are two fighting and killing maniacs themselves, and they even fought in the previous Hueco Mundo. This is even more true when it comes to the relationship between Hollow and Quincy. But restricted by the rules he set, that kind of life and death fight is probably impossible to happen. Some of them are just making small fuss. Yes, Your Majesty the King. Follow your supreme command, Your Majesty.
After hearing what Roy said, Bambietta could only give Espada a vicious look.
He bowed his head to Roy honestly and took orders as a sign of respect. Okay, there will be a court meeting tomorrow. You can all leave now. Someone will arrange your daily life. Seeing that everyone was acting honestly, Roy was extremely satisfied. The corners of his mouth raised slightly, revealing a handsome smile. In order to deal with the sudden appearance of characters, Roy had already made preparations and established a special department. As soon as these people go out, someone will come to pick them up and lead them away. Make registration, be included in the kingdom's list of special personnel, and then arrange a place to live and live in daily life. Little Bumpy, Espada, you two are going too. After glancing at Bambietta and Espada behind him, Roy spoke calmly.
Women can be pampered, and they can be gentle and await all kinds of care. But when it's time to be tough, a man must be tough, as hard as steel, and speak his mind. You must not get used to it. Yes, Your Majesty. Bambietta pressed down her white military cap and did not dare to disobey any of Roy's orders. The three subordinate officers and sisters had left with peace of mind, so what could Bambietta do if she stayed here?
Why don't you leave? Roy didn't look back, and a black shadow like fireworks appeared on his hand. Espada, who was motionless behind him, bit his red lips, took 2 steps forward, hugged his legs tightly, and gently hugged Roy from behind. For the time being, let me accompany you like this. Tick-tock. Roy's ears twitched slightly. It's up to you, don't disturb me next time. There is such a soft and elastic cushion, which seems really good. Ignoring Espada's tiny movements, Roy started his own path of fusion. Ding! Would you like to merge all the talents of Shu plus Arankar? Hiss, fusion. Roy took a deep breath solemnly and made his choice without hesitation. Chapter 47 The Returned King, 3/4 please vote for flower evaluation. Ding! Start merging, in a library-style study room. The memory of soft bullets is a cushion. In the inner world invisible to outsiders.
Roy's inner world ranges from the lowest level ordinary cannon fodder, powerful void, giant void, Jillian lower level Manos Grande, intermediate Manos Grande Ajukas, to the highest level Vasto Lord level Arankar Manos Grande. All virtual talents, abilities, skills, and life characteristics. Everything gathered and solidified at this moment, and then suddenly exploded. Like the Big Bang, it shattered and slowly gathered together again to form, and finally turned into a diamond-shaped crystal. The main body of the rhombus crystal is black and gray, and is accompanied by 2 star rings that are constantly rotating. A steady stream of spiritual energy was bred from it, wandering away towards the outside world, and finally integrated into Roy's body, everywhere. Ding! All your virtual talents and abilities have been integrated into one, and you have gained a brand new domination talent and ability. Ding! Your void series of talents and abilities have been successfully integrated,
and your first dominant level talent and ability, King of Return to Ruins, was born. Half an hour passed. After Roy activated the Fusion King's innate ability, he felt as if most of his strength had been drained away. It wasn't until the King of Return's innate abilities were successfully integrated that the increasingly majestic and terrifying power filled his body. Roy slowly regained all his strength and improved to the next level. Now Roy feels like he can make a Jillian Manos Grande instantly decompose into a spirit child with just one look. Is this the terrifying thing about dominant level innate abilities?
Without too much nonsense, Roy directly clicked on the detailed attribute introduction of this talent. Open black lens bracket King of Return to Ruins close black lens bracket. Quality: Diamond. Type: King, Domination and Control. Effect: those with this talent can control and order their fellow creatures to act at will, and have the effects of sealing, stripping, and transferring their talents.
It has the ability to directly kill the lower level Shu and decompose it into the spirit child state. Note: the controlled person cannot be one level higher than the master, otherwise the ability will be invalid.
Evaluation: you are the real emperor of Hueco Mundo. Powerful. It is simply invincible. Not only can he control hollows who are not one level higher than himself, that's it. Can you actually seal away Shu's talents, abilities, and skills, or even strip them away and integrate them for others to use?
Aren't you going to take off directly now? Good guy, when we meet, we start with a set of bands, and then strip away your talents and all your abilities. Just asking you how to fight, what? Can you only control a limit that exceeds one level of your own? Don't forget, this new dominant talent can continue to be integrated and evolved again. Not to mention other than that, Shinigami's worldview level is not that high. Aside from the ancient monsters of the past, the world of Shinigami will not have any strong people beyond diamond level at most. In addition to the three realms of this world, Soul Society and Hueco Mundo, there is also a hell space. There are old monsters inside that have been dead for who knows how many years. Perhaps there are monsters that have broken through the diamond level. Therefore, the King of Return that Roy possesses at the moment is actually above the ceiling of the Shinigami world. Don't worry, there are still those Shinigami from Soul Society waiting for me to fuse, and the Quincy. Thinking of this, Roy couldn't help but have a look of expectation in his eyes. I wonder what abilities I will get if I fuse the Spirit King. Forget it, it's too embarrassing. I originally planned to devour and fuse Roy with the Soul King after coming to the Shinigami world, but I thought of the posture of Yawatch in the final phase. I immediately gave up the idea, then just sacrifice it to the system.
Oh, there are still 2 days left. Don't let me down, World Government and Naval Headquarters. After completing the first fusion, Roy planned to continue for the time being. He has only been in this world for more than a month, and there is still a lot of time to play slowly. Don't be too hasty, kill the Buster Call first. If his plan succeeds.
This time, it is even possible to directly fill up the reputation value of the Oguyana Kingdom.
The only thing left is to develop comprehensive national strength and strive to improve the kingdom's level. Playing with the black flame of the Shadow Emperor rising in his hand, Roy showed a subtle smile. Suddenly, I felt the fingers on my shoulders disappear. Roy looked back. Acedes had already swayed the world wave and rushed towards him. On the other side, New World. All nations, Cake Island. Mama, that's a big deal, Marine. What kind of treasures does that kingdom possess that warrants the dispatch of such a huge top fleet? There are actually those rats from CP0 who are cooperating, and they are already dead. 2 teams are still there. Why don't you give up? Quote.
Mama, this is really an unimaginable feast, I'm even a little excited. Mama, at this time, there was an open-air tea party in the castle. Charlotte Linlin's exaggerated body shape gives others a great sense of oppression when she sits there. It is not difficult to tell from her series of words that Aunt Linlin is also interested in the treasure that the world government covets. Open-air dessert tea party. A blonde woman with a first-class figure and appearance was enjoying dessert.
And when she heard her Aunt Linlin call CP0 a mouse, she couldn't help but frown. But when I thought about my true identity, I felt relieved. Ha, Linlin, let alone you, Lousy is already a little excited. Well said. It's just that the scale this time is too terrifying. Even if we join rashly, I'm afraid we will die without a burial place. Quote. At the tea party, several underground emperors and black bosses also responded one after another. Hey, where's the news, King Morgans? Where did that Birdman go? It seems I was invited by someone to go to the first half of the Grand Line.
Nani. The pictures of the app have been deleted, but the webpage can be viewed, but I am speechless. Photo. Acedes. Chapter 48, the strongest buster call in history. Raid. 4 quarters, please vote for flower evaluation. How come Morgans suddenly ran back to the front half of the Grand Line? Who invited him? Is this bastard going to launch a buster call on Marine? He's crazy. How dare he join in that scene? Suddenly, the whole tea party became a commotion because of the Morgans incident. After all, they, the black boss emperors of the underground world, have been paying attention to the movements of the Oganjana Kingdom and the World Government Naval Headquarters. But no matter how powerful they are in the underground world, they dare not touch the 4 emperors level kingdom. Morgans, this Birdman, is really fearless. Mama, I'm really looking forward to whether it will rise above the world government, or whether it will be destroyed. If you win, let's get married, mama. Aunt Linlin's eyes flashed with anticipation. However, this should be impossible. This time, Naval Headquarters launched the most terrifying buster call ever. To be honest, even she herself felt that this buster call was coming to destroy her. Her pirate group must be doomed as well. There is no way they can stop Marine from being trampled so horribly. This was definitely the scariest buster call she had ever seen in decades. It's not just Charlotte Linlin. The other 4 emperors, big and small forces from all over the world, are also curious and shocked. I was shocked by the huge fleet dispatched by Naval Headquarters this time. Naval Headquarters was so frightened that the Whitebeard pirates, who were already gathering pirates, cancelled their trip to Oganjana Kingdom. For no other reason than that, the Oganjana Kingdom must be destroyed. And on a sea area dozens of miles away from the Oganjana Kingdom. In the white mist on the sea, 100 marine warships slowly appeared. In order to completely wipe out the Okugana Kingdom at once, the world government has spent a lot of blood this time. This buster call expedition alone cost at least 2 billion Baileys in military expenditures. Not to mention the expenses incurred during the deployment of elite Marine officers and soldiers from other Marine branch bases. These are all matters that are dispatched by Marine and ultimately handed over to the world government for full reimbursement and reimbursement. In this case, Sengoku is no longer polite to the world government. Directly launched 100 warships. Among them, there are as many as 40 top-level Marine warships, and the cost of each one is at least 780 million Baileys. The remaining 60 warships are all relatively ordinary warships, each costing 2 to 3 to 4 to 5 billion Baileys. A warship is the price of a pacifist. This operation will be a war in which Naval Headquarters demonstrates the terrifying power of Naval Headquarters to kingdoms and evil forces around the world. This operation was personally led by Marine Marshal Sengoku and Vice Admiral Suru. The top combat powers are the Marine 3 Admirals, Kazaru Perusalino, Akainu Sakazuki, and Iokiji Kuzan. Admiral Alternate, Momosagi Gion, Cha Dome added. There are 20 elite Marine Vice Admiral elites in total. Flying Squirrel Vice Admiral, Ghost Spider, Doberman, Dalmatia, Burning Mountain, Stallo Berry, Bastille, Stieras, etc. There are also 3 giants, Vice Admiral, Giant, Rakvar, and Ronsa. Well. The first few Vice Admirals are elites, and the ones at the back are just there to make up the numbers. In addition, 100,000 elite Marines were finally gathered together. Even the pacifist Tyrant Bear newly developed by Marine has been brought to a total of 30 units by Marine. Faced with such a terrifying buster call, it's no wonder that Charlotte Linlin was almost frightened when she saw the intelligence. Cold sweat broke out from the back of his forehead. Of course, she didn't know that pacifists existed. Otherwise, I probably would have remembered to contact Kaido of the Beasts immediately. Finally, Naval Headquarters also tentatively issued a summons to Shichibukai. However, the results were far from satisfactory. Only Kaishia Jinbei and Gecko Moria agreed. Oh, by the way, Gecko Moria has not yet encountered the Straw Hat crew at this time. Gecko Moria is a war scene large enough to pick up missing bodies. As for why Kaishia Jinbei came, this is worth thinking about. Lord Sengoku, is there something wrong with doing this?
On the main ship, Kaishia Jinbei looked at Sengoku with a serious expression on his face. Jinbei also understood the cause of the matter. But he could only sigh in his heart that the world was unfair. However, as he approached the waters of the Oganjana kingdom, he couldn't help but ask questions. Needless to say, this is an order from the world government.
Sengoku was still looking at the sea in the distance, his expression unchanged. It's just the twinkling look in his eyes that shows the different thoughts in his heart. Understood. Hearing this, Jinbei stopped talking. Sengoku's meaning is already obvious, so Jinbei naturally won't break the casserole and ask the truth. Hey up pointing arrow up right arrow hey right pointing arrow down right arrow. Corpse. Shadow. Gecko Moria's face was full of excitement and anticipation. In such a large-scale war, I don't know how many strong men will die.
By then, these will be the materials for him to become stronger. Kaido. Just wait for lousy. Everyone around looked at Gecko Moria with disdain. What is this guy thinking and what is his agenda? They couldn't be more aware. Want to get the corpses and shadows of marine elites. Go ahead and dream. They will definitely keep an eye on this guy. We are about to enter the sphere of influence of the Oganjana kingdom. It's a bit weird here, so be careful.
Looking at the Dead Sea around him, Crane Vice Admiral immediately sensed a crisis.
Yes, it's really quiet here. Sengoku also nodded in agreement, the look on his face becoming more solemn. And it was at this moment. Hung. Boom. Suddenly, the calm sea exploded. The originally calm sea surface seemed to be like a quilt, being bulged high by some creature, and then countless seawater crashed and crashed. Watch out. It's the big Sea Kings. Chapter 49 Dark Gear Sea Kings show their power. 1/4 please vote for flower evaluation. It's a large Sea Kings attack. Adjust the gun and fire.
Enter Rear Admiral and Colonels. As the huge waves swept in, several warships were scattered. In an instant, dozens of people were killed and injured. After the waves passed, the officers and soldiers on the warship at the end edge forced themselves to calm down. Command operations began. Only one end of the Sea Kings was exposed out of the sea. Only half of its body was hundreds of meters high, and it launched an attack on the warship under its body. This is a weird Sea Kings of unknown type of fish. Its huge fins are like steel blades. The main body of the body is black and white, and the huge lantern eyes that are magnified 10 times are blood red. The section-by-section belly of the tire is like steel, slippery and shiny with seawater. Just as soon as it appeared, the terrifying momentum frightened many weaker non-commissioned officers. It's just a 100-meter Sea King's beast, kill him. There was a colonel holding a samurai sword and shouting angrily to regain the fighting spirit of the soldiers. As he spoke, he soared into the sky, running up and down on the moonwalk at high speed, and slashed out with the katana in his hand. Oh! There was a sharp explosion, and a white slashing wave flew out from his katana, and then struck hard on the forehead of the Sea Kings with a dinosaur head in front of him. The slashing wave hit, but it was like a drop of water hitting the steel plate, breaking into countless small water droplets, and then disappeared. The dinosaur-headed Sea Kings blinked, then became furious. The next moment, the dinosaur-headed Sea Kings suddenly lunged forward and bit. Help! Poof! The huge sharp teeth engulfed it directly, and then tore it into pieces and swallowed it. Punlong! Immediately afterwards, it flicked its tail and turned over, and its body of more than 200 meters long below rolled up a large wave of waves and hit the warship. Ah! Fire! Blow him up! Seeing this scene, the elite marine officers and soldiers on the warship were instantly stunned, as if they saw their own wife waving to them. Dozens and hundreds of special cannonballs burst out one after another, hitting Sea King's body. However, there are special shells that can usually damage Sea Kings of several hundred meters. When faced with the monster in front of him, there was no harm at all. It just had the effect of blowing it up to ashes and knocking it back a little distance. Die! Damn beast! Just after the dinosaur-headed Sea Kings caused a tsunami and destroyed 3 warships with their huge bodies, a man with a mohawk and a suit wearing a justice coat finally arrived. Bah. Not talking too much nonsense during the meeting, the Flying Squirrel Vice Admiral took action with anger and slashed out a blue-white slash wave tens of meters long. The thick skin that could not even be damaged by special cannonballs was actually torn open with a long crack by the Flying Squirrel's slashing wave. Roar. Severe pain swept through the whole body, and it was angry. The slender fins glowed with the sheen of steel and slashed horizontally with a swish sound. The sails passing along the way were cut in two. Hiss. Seeing this, the Flying Squirrel Vice Admiral's brows jumped. What kind of monster is this? The fins of the fish have transformed into huge sharp swords. Moonwalk. Shave. Whoever takes this blow is a fool. The Flying Squirrel simply chose to run away. Such a huge slash came, probably weighing at least hundreds of tons in terms of strength alone. Who dares to take on this horse? Base. Crack. Bang. Without any surprise, the warship under the Flying Squirrel was cut into 2 pieces. Beast. It's time to send you on your way. The figure of the Flying Squirrel disappeared in a flash, and the next moment it was in front of the Sea Kings that was about to bite. He got directly into its huge mouth, and then a cross-sword light broke open its head. The figure of the Flying Squirrel flew out after him, and then landed on the mast of a broken warship. This is the most effective way to deal with such large and giant Sea Kings. Destroy it directly from the inside and make the opponent die in an instant. Looking at Sea Kings who have rolled their eyes and died, he frowned just as he entered the body of this Sea Kings. He seemed to see something inside, but the speed was too fast at the time, and he had to seize the opportunity to kill the Sea Kings instantly. So I didn't pay too much attention to it, and gave up after thinking about it. It's just that Flying Squirrel didn't know that it was his indifference this time that caused him to miss an excellent opportunity to solve a major crisis. Crisis resolved. On the warship at the end, all the Marines looked happy to have escaped death. The Sea King's raid happened so suddenly and quickly that many people didn't react. He was disrupted. Now, I have recovered. However, the 2 Marine Vice Admirals in charge of the fleet here were sweating. There was no other reason. Vice Admiral, the Flying Squirrel responsible for the major security of other fleet parts, came over to resolve the crisis.
They are still making soy sauce. The Buster Call fleet had just entered Oganjana's sphere of influence when it was attacked by the large Sea Kings. How is this going? This is obviously not the calm belt, so why are there large Sea Kings here? Quote. Listening to the number of casualties reported by his subordinates, Sengoku was deeply puzzled and filled with unspeakable anger. In this Sea King's raid, 3 warships at the rear edge were destroyed in an instant, and then another warship was cut in half. The number of casualties exceeded hundreds of elite Marine officers and soldiers. There's something wrong with this Sea Kings, it seems to have been artificially modified and enhanced. It is absolutely impossible for normal Sea Kings to have such terrible destructive power. Quote. Chapter 49 Dark Gear Sea Kings show their power. 1/4 Please vote for flower evaluation. It's a large Sea King's attack. Adjust the gun and fire. Enter Rear Admiral and Colonels. Quote. As the huge waves swept in, several warships were scattered. In an instant, dozens of people were killed and injured. After the waves passed, the officers and soldiers on the warship at the end edge forced themselves to calm down. Command operations began. Only one end of the Sea Kings was exposed out of the sea. Only half of its body was hundreds of meters high, and it launched an attack on the warship under its body.
This is a weird Sea Kings of unknown type of fish. Its huge fins are like steel blades.
The main body of the body is black and white, and the huge lantern eyes that are magnified 10 times are blood red. The section-by-section belly of the tire is like steel, slippery and shiny with seawater.
Just as soon as it appeared, the terrifying momentum frightened many weaker non-commissioned officers. It's just a 100-meter Sea King's beast, kill him. There was a colonel holding a samurai sword and shouting angrily to regain the fighting spirit of the soldiers. As he spoke, he soared into the sky, running up and down on the moonwalk at high speed, and slashed out with the katana in his hand. Oh! There was a sharp explosion, and a white slashing wave flew out from his katana, and then struck hard on the forehead of the Sea Kings with a dinosaur head in front of him. The slashing wave hit, but it was like a drop of water hitting the steel plate, breaking into countless small water droplets, and then disappeared. The dinosaur-headed Sea Kings blinked, then became furious. The next moment, the dinosaur-headed Sea Kings suddenly lunged forward and bit. Help! Poof! The huge sharp teeth engulfed it directly, and then tore it into pieces and swallowed it. Punlong. Immediately afterwards, it flicked its tail and turned over, and its body of more than 200 meters long below rolled up a large wave of waves and hit the warship. Fire! Blow him up! Seeing this scene, the elite marine officers and soldiers on the warship were instantly stunned, as if they saw their own wife waving to them.
Dozens and hundreds of special cannonballs burst out one after another, hitting Sea King's body. However, there are special shells that can usually damage Sea Kings of several hundred meters. When faced with the monster in front of him, there was no harm at all. It just had the effect of blowing it up to ashes and knocking it back a little distance. Die. Damn beast. Just after the dinosaur-headed Sea Kings caused a tsunami and destroyed 3 warships with their huge bodies, a man with a mohawk and a suit wearing a justice coat finally arrived. Not talking too much nonsense during the meeting, the flying squirrel vice admiral took action with anger and slashed out a blue-white slash wave tens of meters long. The thick skin that could not even be damaged by special cannonballs was actually torn open with a long crack by the flying squirrel's slashing wave. Roar. Severe pain swept through the whole body, and it was angry.
The slender fins glowed with the sheen of steel and slashed horizontally with a swish sound. The sails passing along the way were cut in two. Hiss. Seeing this, the flying squirrel vice admiral's brows jumped.
What kind of monster is this? The fins of the fish have transformed into huge sharp swords. Moonwalk. Shave. Whoever takes this blow is a fool. The flying squirrel simply chose to run away. Such a huge slash came, probably weighing at least hundreds of tons in terms of strength alone. Who dares to take on this horse? Base. Crack. Bang. Without any surprise, the warship under the flying squirrel was cut into 2 pieces. Beast, it's time to send you on your way. The figure of the flying squirrel disappeared in a flash, and the next moment it was in front of the Sea Kings that was about to bite.
He got directly into its huge mouth, and then a cross-sword light broke open its head. The figure of the flying squirrel flew out after him, and then landed on the mast of a broken warship. This is the most effective way to deal with such large and giant Sea Kings. Destroy it directly from the inside and make the opponent die in an instant. Looking at Sea Kings who have rolled their eyes and died, he frowned, just as he entered the body of this Sea Kings. He seemed to see something inside, but the speed was too fast at the time, and he had to seize the opportunity to kill the Sea Kings instantly. So I didn't pay too much attention to it, and gave up after thinking about it. It's just that Flying Squirrel didn't know that it was his indifference this time that caused him to miss an excellent opportunity to solve a major crisis. Crisis resolved. On the warship at the end, all the Marines looked happy to have escaped death.
The Sea King's raid happened so suddenly and quickly that many people didn't react. He was disrupted. Now, I have recovered. However, the 2 Marine vice admirals in charge of the fleet here were sweating. There was no other reason. Vice Admiral, the flying squirrel responsible for the major security of other fleet parts, came over to resolve the crisis. They are still making soy sauce. The Buster Call fleet had just entered Oganjana's sphere of influence when it was attacked by the large Sea Kings.
How is this going? This is obviously not the calm belt, so why are there large Sea Kings here? Listening to the number of casualties reported by his subordinates, Sengoku was deeply puzzled and filled with unspeakable anger. In this Sea King's raid, 3 warships at the rear edge were destroyed in an instant, and then another warship was cut in half. The number of casualties exceeded hundreds of elite Marine officers and soldiers. There's something wrong with this Sea Kings. It seems to have been artificially modified and enhanced. It is absolutely impossible for normal Sea Kings to have such terrible destructive power. Chapter 50 Sea Kings Legion. Shocked Marine. 2/4 please vote for flower evaluation. Looking at the materials in his hand that had just been edited and sent over, The wrinkles on Staff Officer E's old face suddenly became more wrinkled. Just one sweep of the shark fin can instantly cut off the hard mast of the warship, and even split the extremely hard steel warship in half. What kind of monster is this?
But soon, without giving everyone much time to think, a more violent attack came. Boom boom. Boom boom boom. On the sea surface, one after another soaring water columns exploded into the sky. When the torrential sea water fell freely, the terrifying energy contained in it hit the warship hard. An unknown number of marine elites were crushed to death and drowned in this wave of seawater attacks. Giant sea kings with body lengths exceeding 1,000 meters have appeared. The torrential waves caused by the giant sea kings, which are more than 1,000 meters tall, are terrifying and ferocious.
The amount of seawater carried up by just half of the body when it broke through the sea was already extremely terrifying. After emerging from the water, a large amount of seawater suddenly fell freely and crashed, possessing extremely terrifying power, directly taking away one living life after another. Sea water poured directly into the deck of the warship and rushed into the cabin. Countless marine soldiers screamed, either being smashed to death by the seawater or being carried away by the seawater, then passed out in the seawater, and finally drowned in the seawater. Marines can still defend against flying cannonballs and other objects, but how can they defend against seawater pouring from the sky? Obviously, the Marines were unable to effectively respond to this sudden seawater attack. What made the Marines even more desperate was that tsunamis tens of meters high and hundreds of meters high came roaring towards them. This is the enemy's intention to bury them directly on the sea. Ice Age, however, at the next moment, two ice rays shot into the sky. Shoot at the huge tsunamis and waves coming from all directions. Kaka. Kaka. The sea surface is frozen. Aokiji's figure fell from the sky, stood on the mast, and said in a rather helpless tone, "Really, no matter how much trouble there should be a limit. I'm really envious. Senior Garp can actually stay at Naval Headquarters to guard it." Aokiji stroked the blindfold on his forehead, with a look of laziness and envy in his eyes. He's not interested at all in things like sending out a buster call to annihilate a kingdom. Whenever something like this happens, no one knows how many innocent civilians will die. Suguichi. As expected of Aokiji Admiral, the entire sea area was frozen in an instant, so powerful. Saved. On the fleet, countless Marines cheered when they saw this. Loudly praising Aokiji's powerful abilities. HMPH, what an ugly gesture. On a top battleship on the other side, Akainu looked at this scene with quite a bit of criticism. Frowning, he looked at the giant sea kings, which were over a kilometer in size and were frozen into ice sculptures. Hey, Sakazuki, are you planning to use your devil fruit ability here? I really can't stand you. Are you planning to burn your colleagues to ashes too? How terrible, you monster. Just when Sakazuki had the idea to take action, a figure glowing with golden light suddenly appeared beside him. With that tone of voice, Sakazuki knew who was coming without having to guess. HMPH, don't hold back, Perusalino. Sakazuki crossed his arms and spoke with a cold snort. Last time, Perusalino was maimed and escaped back to Naval Headquarters.
This time he made a comeback. Sakazuki was afraid that he would be afraid of the enemy, and that it would be bad if he lost control at the critical moment. But you don't know if you think about it. After all, Perusalino has been a Marine Admiral for more than 20 years. It's not just that, but Sakazuki couldn't help but say something to give Perusalino a vaccination. Really? Don't think too badly of me, Sakazuki. Perusalino didn't pay attention to Sakazuki's sarcasm. He pushed up his sunglasses and lowered his head, making it difficult to see the exact expression on his face at the moment. After the last serious injury and the withdrawal to Naval Headquarters, the original injured area has obviously healed, but I can still feel the pain that goes deep into my soul. But recently, this symptom has disappeared. More importantly, his strength seems to be stronger than before. And all of this happened gradually after escaping from this kingdom.
I really don't know whether I should thank you or hate you, Ulquiorra-san. Click click click. Suddenly, the body of the 4,000-meter giant sea kings that was frozen by Aokiji began to tremble visibly to the naked eye.
10 seconds later, only bursts of cracking sounds were heard, followed by a large number of ice crystals breaking. The 4,000-meter giant sea kings all escaped from the trap one after another, roaring ferociously and continued to move. Nani? How is that possible? Seeing this scene, all the Marines were dumbfounded. Is there any creature that can escape from the trap on its own after being frozen by Aokiji Admiral's Devil Fruit ability? You are just sea kings, not top powerhouses. Strangeness. Aokiji frowned, also feeling incredible. It stands to reason that with the ice age he unleashed, it would not be that easy to directly freeze the 1,000-meter level sea kings to death. But isn't it a little unreasonable for you to be able to break out of the frozen state on your own? How could Marine know that these sea kings were all implanted with dark gears by Roy? Not only did their strength skyrocket, each of them also grew in size after being strengthened by dark gears. With the energy provided by the dark gears, not to mention, they are all transplanted with virtual abilities. If Aokiji didn't specifically target them, they wouldn't be able to completely freeze them to death. Roar. After getting out of trouble, a giant sea kings with a length of 2,500 meters broke through the sea and appeared in front of everyone.
Are you kidding me? The Marines were dumbfounded. This is not the calm belt. Sea kings are already very strange, and the sea kings just a few hundred meters away were amazing enough, but now there is another one that is even more outrageous? Chapter 51 Hollow Sea Kings. Marines suffered heavy casualties. 3/4 please vote for flower evaluation. What appeared in front of everyone was a sea kings that looked like the Elder Centipede in One Punch Man. Because of the dark gear, his appearance doesn't have the same dull expression as other sea kings. Instead, he was filled with evil and darkness, and his face wore a white mask like an evil old man. Half of the towering body emerged, more than 1,000 meters long. The body was hidden and exposed, segment after segment, appearing on the sea. The whole body was filled with indescribable power. As 1,000-meter level sea kings, he has also swallowed hollows. Before that, it was transformed by Roy. This guy is the one that Roy focuses on taking care of. When I first caught it, its body length reached 1,700 meters. After implanting 2 dark gears, feeding some low-level voids that lost their minds, and transplanting several natural abilities into it, this guy's size has continued to grow until he is now 2,500 meters tall. In this way, how could the centipede sea kings exist without certain thinking ability and wisdom? At that moment, if it hadn't been for the treasure given by the master, it would have evolved and become much stronger. Maybe he would have died under the attack just now. So now it can be said to be extremely angry. Open black lens bracket deep sea centipede hollow close black lens bracket. Level. Silver advanced, provisional, innate abilities. Core rebirth, undersea pressure, tsunami, commanding sea beasts, Sero, blank bullets, steel skin. Race. Sea kings, void blessing status, dark gear ×2, hollow.
Favorability. 70. Loyalty. 100 max. Comprehensive evaluation. The deep sea monster implanted with the dark gear has been transplanted with the virtual talent ability, which continues in the hollow. It will soon turn into a nightmare for all creatures in the deep sea. This. It is the product of Roy's transformation and strengthening after acquiring the innate ability of the returned king. Specially named Ijuka's Manos Grande Mortises, and the water demon Bazaar, went to the deep sea of Calm Belt to capture the sea kings. Roy is naturally very satisfied with the results after the transformation. Several other sea kings have also been transformed and strengthened by him, but the effects are not as good as this one. It's just that, it's more than enough to let them play with the Marine Buster Call fleet. That mark is the mark of the Oganjana Kingdom. At this moment, Sengoku, who suddenly noticed something when looking at the centipede sea kings who suddenly became more animalistic, his eyes narrowed. Look at the special marks on the huge head of the centipede sea kings. Sengoku's majestic eyes glared. On the forehead of the huge carapace, a flag mark of the Oganjana Kingdom suddenly appeared. Damn it. The intelligence didn't say that the Oganjana Kingdom has such a huge, Jillian. Get out of the way. It's Sero. On the main ship, Sengoku's expression suddenly changed. Because he noticed that the space above the body of the centipede sea kings began to condense with red light. That was a terrifying laser ray that was specially marked on the intelligence collected by CPO. Sure enough, I saw the red light reflecting on the rolling sea, the terrifying Reiatsu condensed into shape, and the next moment, a laser blasted out that mapped half of the sea into the sunset.
Ah la la la. Don't try to succeed. Ice cubes. Explode the pheasant's mouth. Seeing that Sero was about to hit, 7 or 8 warships were included in the sweeping target of destruction. Aokiji's figure disappeared from the mast in a flash, and the next moment he took action. With chills all over his body, a ray of ice shot out from his hand, and then turned into a huge ice-bird, spread its wings and flew at high speed, and hit Sero head-on.
Chi-chi. Boom. The two forces collided fiercely, and the high temperature of Sero immediately made the ice bird make the sound of being rapidly melted and evaporated, and a large amount of water mist rose up. Finally, there was a huge explosion. The Sero launched by Centipede Sea Kings was cancelled out by Aokiji, but the scattered aftermath still took away a few unlucky Marines. That's it. 8-foot Magatama. Shine. Unknown monster. Boom. In order not to cause more casualties, Porcelino also took action at the same time. High in the sky, Porcelino turned into a laser and flew around the Centipede Sea Kings at high speed. Hundreds of laser bullets bombarded its body, bursting into bloody flowers. No matter how powerful its steel skin was, it could not break through to the gold level under the joint attack of 2 admirals and several sword masters vice admiral. Centipede Sea Kings was seriously injured, and finally fired several dummy bullets with a firing speed 20 times that of ordinary Sero, taking away 2 Marine vice admirals. In this way, they were beaten to death together. The remaining modified Sea Kings were quickly eliminated together.
Under the combined output of Naval Headquarters' terrifying high-end combat power, it would be unreasonable to not die. After half an hour of being raided, the Marines won the raid. Perhaps, this will be their only victory in this trip.
Report the situation. On the main ship, Sengoku had a gloomy face, showing no anger or sadness. After experiencing this kind of battle a lot, you will get used to it. All he can do is to organize a decent funeral for the soldiers who died heroically after the war. Report. In this Sea King's raid, our army sacrificed 2 vice admirals and 2 rear admirals. There are 53 remaining school-level officers, 122 lieutenant-level officers, and 1,655 elite Marine officers and soldiers. A total of 11 warships were destroyed and 3 were scrapped. Quote. Hearing this, all the Marines present had frosty expressions on their faces. They had just encountered the first wave of raids. How could they, Marine, have killed so many elite soldiers? Chapter 52. The stage is set. Let's intimidate the whole world. 4 quarters. Please vote for flower evaluation. This situation completely exceeded Sengoku's expectations. Logically speaking, in order not to attract too much attention. It was also an act to prevent the Okugana kingdom from running away with the bucket after knowing the news. As a result, Naval Headquarters' actions are stealthy from the outset, from start to departure. They are all dispersed. Only when they are about to reach this sea area, they will gather at the nearest Marine branch base and finally head towards the kingdom of Oganjana. But now, Oganjana knew the news in advance and didn't tell them. She even targeted the route and carried out a surprise attack, catching them off guard. After a wave of raids, Marine's side suffered heavy casualties. After all, 4 vice admirals and rear admirals each died, and more than 1,800 elite Marines died. Don't let me know who you are. Sengoku waved his hand, signaling for the school officer to step back and get busy. Looking at the sea in a mess, covered with gunpowder smoke and corpses. There was a fierce glint in Sengoku's eyes. I hate the guy who betrayed the Marine Buster Call fleet and the detailed information of this operation to the kingdom of Oganjana, and I wish I could tear that ghost into pieces. It actually caused their Marines Buster Call fleet to suffer such heavy casualties. Hey, this is war. You should get used to it, Sengoku. Beside him, staff officer, he sighed slightly. This war hasn't officially started yet, and they've already lost half of the battle. Who could have known that Naval Headquarters was not only infiltrated by Anbu ninjas? Is there still a CPO traitor? Marine wants to find out the Anbu ninja who is good at disguise and change technique. It's like looking for a needle in a haystack.
Not to mention the guy's CP0. As the most loyal dog under the world government and the celestial dragons, no one would doubt it. Sengoku's anger is destined to never be released.
Now that the enemy has launched an attack on us, we don't have to be secretive anymore. Give me my order and move forward at full speed.
This wave of advance troops raided by Roy's Sea King's Legion, coupled with the fact that there was a traitor inside Marine who passed on information. The combination of these two things undoubtedly made Sengoku, a veteran, really angry. Snort. Upon hearing Sengoku's order, Sakazuki snorted coldly. This is something that should have been done a long time ago, it's just a kingdom. So what if we have the powerful 4 emperors? The 4 emperors are like dogs. He punched Dark Hound and destroyed them all.
After the Marine's Buster Call fleet moved away at full speed, a small centipede Sea King's larva, only a few dozen centimeters in size, surfaced from the water. He looked at the fleet that was going away with a look of jealousy, then climbed onto the dead body of the hollow Sea Kings and started to feast. All his own essence has shrunk into the rebirth core, and the corpse is of no use anymore. Therefore, I can only eat the corpses of several other hollow Sea Kings to regain strength and become stronger. The Kingdom of Ogunjana. Inside the King's Palace. Espada. Wonderful. It's so wonderful. Your Majesty Roy, please accept my sincere gratitude for your trust in allowing me to witness this magnificent battle that will be recorded in the history books. Ha 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 ha. From the phone bug came the cackle of a birdman. You can tell from the voice that the guy on the other end of the phone is very excited.
And this guy is none other than the big boss of World Economic News, the News King Morgans, who was invited by Roy. Roy would not let go of such a good opportunity to become famous, and a war that could bring huge gold coins. Since Naval Headquarters can broadcast live around the world in future Summit War, so can he. Take advantage of the opportunity to fight against the top Buster Call and annihilate Marine, the most powerful Buster Call in history. Not only must we show off the terrifying power of the Oguyana Kingdom, but we must also shock Xiao Xiao and build up the reputation of the kingdom. We must step on the world government and naval headquarters to ascend to the throne. Then, start blasting gold coins hard. With a mere area of over 20,000 square kilometers and 2 small kingdoms, Roy would not be satisfied. All the surrounding kingdoms must and will become his territory. If you don't expand your territory, what kind of king will you be? What's more, the dozen or so kingdoms around here were all the territory of the Ogunjana Kingdom thousands of years ago. What is this called? This is called recovering the country, and it should be right. Don't worry, there is a bigger scene waiting for you. Roy took a sip of black tea and said calmly, "Do what I tell you and don't let me down. If you mess up, you can imagine the consequences." Roy has no desire to please the Morgans. He invited Morgans to do business, but if the other party messed up this matter, he would naturally not kill him. But it's okay to boil a pot of water for this guy, put him in a sauna, and remove the fur on his legs. After all, he is not a devil. On the contrary, if Morgans gets this thing right, Morgans will be able to make big news that will set off the world again. Then make a lot of money and easily acquire dozens of goals. Ha ha ha, Your Majesty Roy, you don't need to worry about this. I, Morgan, am not good at other things, but when it comes to news, I am the best in the world. There is absolutely no doubt about that. Even if those 5 bad old men point at my head and threaten me, I, Morgans, still dare to fight against them. The phone bug who plays the role of Morgan's Birdman delivers Morgans's firm and sonorous guarantee. Indeed, the future 5th level Luffy, Morgans, ignored the warnings and threats of 5 elders and released the 5th level Luffy without any fear.
Hang up bug. Haha, the show has begun. Go ahead, the stage has been set, and it's time for your performance to shock the world. With his legs crossed, Roy looked down at Espada and the others below.
Follow your supreme will, Your Majesty Roy. Chapter 53 Espada Legion vs Buster Call. 1/4 Please vote for flower evaluation. About an hour later, more than 80 warships approached the offshore waters of the Okugana Kingdom. Marshal. We have arrived at Omid Island, and we are about to enter the offshore waters of Oguyana Kingdom. 6 or 7 nautical miles away from the giant island of Omid, a marine on the main ship reported loudly to Sengoku. P.S. 1 nautical mile equals 1.852 kilometers. 1 knot speed equals 1 nautical mile per hour. In fact, there was no need for him to summon him. Sengoku and other marine senior officials also saw it. After all, the name of the giant island of Omid is not sealed. The specific outline of the island can be seen from a long distance away. Pass my order, the fleet will spread out and form 3 volleys after 3 minutes.
The continuous salvo time is 10 minutes. Quote. After officially entering the waters of the Oganjana Kingdom, Sengoku immediately began to issue a series of attack orders. Just like previous buster calls, the first step in meeting is to clear a wave of special cannonballs. This is the first step that buster call must perform. Buster call, as the name suggests. Pay attention to the word. 2. No matter who you are, how big your territory is, how powerful you are, or how many people you have. It doesn't matter, because Marines' buster call will start a 10-minute long barrage of absolute artillery fire outside your territory. In these 10 minutes, which can be called hell time, the general forces were washed underground by such terrifying artillery fire. They could not survive even 10 minutes, and most of them were destroyed. This is. A few minutes later, the buster call fleet began a 10-minute extermination bombardment. But when hundreds of special cannonballs burst out from the warship and shot into the kingdom of Okugana, the Marines were all dumbfounded. Because those thousands of cannonballs fired at the Oganjana kingdom were all detonated in midair. In the blue sky that stretched for several kilometers, the flames and smoke of the explosion exploded like brilliant fireworks in an instant. What a powerful aura! Who is here? In the void, in the sky directly in front of Buster Call, the void was like a jagged zipper that opened on both sides in less than 10 seconds. A dozen cracks were torn open in the sky, and in the black cavity, there were only Jillian Manos Grande and ordinary void. These imaginary teams are led by Espadas, and there are many scattered characters among them. The longest and largest crack in the void was over 1,000 meters long, and then, the Marines looked at it with extremely vigilant and somewhat shocked eyes. A group of Espadas headed by Haribel stepped out of the void. And behind them, there is a group of Jillian Manos Grandes who are snarling with teeth and claws.
In one of the dark voices, Ulquiorra slowly withdrew her hand. Ryotsu, who was looking extremely horrified, was also taken back. On the sea, at this time, more than a dozen hideous and roaring Manos Grande turned sea kings appeared simultaneously. There are also hundreds of small sea kings and various strange-looking sea beasts. There is a half-humanoid monster standing on the head of the leading Hollow Sea Kings. It is the Water Demon Bazaar. The Hollow Sea King's army is the army she leads and controls. In less than a moment, the entire sea area was covered with terrifying low-level voids, and Jillian Manos Grande stood directly on the sea. Low-level voids are wandering and flying in midair. Even Urza and Acides were given the ability to tear apart Hueco Mundo's black cavity, empty air, by Roy, who had mastered the King of Return ability. Not only that, but it also has the ability to launch Sero, spin steel skin, and many more. This can be called Bug's heaven-defying ability, and it really made all the girls of Urza eat a lot. After learning about Roy's ability, Ulquiorra and others were also shocked, marveling that His Majesty actually possesses such abilities that only gods can master. Has the rightful owner arrived? Give up your fearless resistance. You have no chance of winning in front of such a Buster Call fleet.
Surrender as soon as possible. I can guarantee that the civilians of the Okugana Kingdom will not be harmed too much. And you, I can make the decision and incorporate you into the Marine or world government. How? Looking at the people standing in the void, Sengoku and other Marines were shocked. Everyone can fly and stand in the void. Whose ability is this? Isn't it said that only those voids can fly and stand on the void? However, as the commander-in-chief of Buster Call, Sengoku would not let down his momentum at the beginning of the confrontation between the two armies. Directly shout for the army of the Oganjana Kingdom to surrender. He even said something to include it. It would be great if there were some among these strong men who did not want to be involved in this war.
You can eliminate some enemies with just a few words, so why not? He is indeed a smart man. But unfortunately, your naive plan is doomed to fail. After a while, Haribel, as the commander-in-chief of the entire army, spoke. Yuji's queenly temperament suddenly came into full play, making everyone on Marine's side feel a little bit incredulous. Such a huge legion is actually led by this beautiful woman with wheat-colored skin in front of him? Sengoku's sharp eyes narrowed momentarily. If a woman can be in charge of the entire army, then the commander, no matter what gender he is, must have extremely terrifying strength. Even Ulquiorra of the 4th Espada is not qualified to be a commander, so how strong does this woman have to be? HMPH. It's useless to say more. You disgusting monsters will all be punished by justice. Meteor volcano. Suddenly, a sharp shout sounded.
Immediately afterwards, a terrifying jet of magma flew high into the sky, heading straight towards Haribel and the others. Try to use the terrifying heat and destructive power of magma to kill them. Humans who don't know whether to live or die. Chapter 54 Undersea Battle. Death is coming. 2 quarters. Please vote for flower evaluation. Sakazuki's sudden attack instantly triggered a chain reaction. Seeing that these humans in front of them dared to attack them first, the low-level hollows instantly became furious and flew forward. The battle between 20,000 low-level virtual versus 100,000 elite marines has begun. There are obviously only 20,000 low-level voids, but it has the effect of an army of 100,000. It's Sero. Get out of the way. Soon, Marine was attacked by Sero launched by 30 Manos Grande.
Sengoku's expression changed, and he instantly used Devil Fruit's ability to transform into a golden giant Buddha that was more than 10 meters tall. How can I let you beasts succeed again? Come and die for me. Buddha's impact. Sengoku flew up directly and scattered all the Scarlet Sero shots. Perusalino on the other side was naturally not idle, and his figure flashed past. A dozen scarlet beams of light in the sky were instantly blasted, and the rest of the Marine Elite Vice Admirals also took action to stop them. Boom. Waves of booms and explosions sounded one after another, and 3 warships were annihilated by Sero. Jillian Manos Grande's first wave of offense was disintegrated in this way. Then they were quickly entangled in a battle with Marine's high-end combat power. Sea King's Legion, enter. Watch me drown you all, ha 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 ha. As the battle begins, Demon Bazaar is not lagging behind and activates his own spells. A few seconds later, the entire sea area let out bursts of destructive roars, and 2 tsunamis hundreds of meters high dragged everyone around, and a dozen small tsunamis and huge waves suddenly appeared. The Sea Kings and Sea Beast Legion followed the violent tsunami swarm and rushed towards the marine warship together with the tsunami swarm. Well, Miss Siren, I thought you weren't here, but I've been waiting for you for a long time.
Ice Age. Quote. Seeing this, Aokiji in the warship immediately jumped into the sky and shot out 2 extremely cold ice beams with a flick of his hands. Click, click, click. 2 beams of extremely cold air at tens of degrees below zero quickly froze the tsunami that was about to hit the fleet and the small tsunami groups into 2 towering icebergs. And the sea area with a radius of dozens of nautical miles was turned into a land of ice and snow with this move. Extreme coldness enveloped everyone instantly. Although the surrounding environment has become extremely cold, the Marines have completely relaxed their hands and feet. With the ice land specially created by Aokiji, they can jump off the warship as much as they want and exert their full strength on the glacier. Finally, I don't have to be beaten by the flying hollows and run around for fear of being caught, hung up and thrown into the sea to feed the fish. Huh? Damn it. There are actually humans who can use freezing abilities. Bazaar was furious when she discovered that all the tsunamis she had launched were frozen. Demon Bazaar felt angry inside. Damn it, if she hadn't been sealed for so long, her strength and original body would have been erased. How could the tsunami she activated with her magic be frozen so easily by a little ice trick kid? Encountering Aokiji, an opponent who could restrain her, Bazaar had no choice but to change her mind and start to control the frozen Sea King's Sea Beast army to dive into the seabed. Add various buffs to their bodies to increase their size and strength. After breaking through the ice, he dived to the bottom of the sea, fought his way under Marine's fleet, and began to destroy the warships. These dozen Sea Kings, which are hundreds of meters long, use Sero to bombard the seabed ice and collide with their steel-skinned bodies crazily on the seabed. All of a sudden, Marine's warships destroyed several ships one after another. After firing several shots at one location in succession, the ice was broken. Sero penetrated directly from the bottom of the sea, and the Marines who were still on the warship were suddenly in tragedy. Violent explosions and high-temperature flames engulfed them, and they screamed and died miserably on the warship. Such an action instantly caught the attention of Vice Admiral. They all yelled that the Oganjana kingdom was a despicable villain, and they actually resorted to such vicious methods. Because they are also helpless about underwater combat. After entering the bottom of the sea and losing half of your strength, how can you still fight those monsters?
Fortunately, when they came this time, in order to deal with this situation, they specially invited Shichibukai and Kaisha Jinbei to help out. Now you are talking professionally. Don't worry, I will get rid of all the monsters under the sea. Jinbei was entrusted with the important task and chose to accept it without any hesitation. For these Marines who sincerely safeguard world peace, Jinbei can't bear to see them die in frustration like this. After making his promise to Marine, he jumped directly into the hole that Sea Kings had drilled with Sero, and dived under the sea to deal with the Sea Beast army. I'm sorry, although what these humans did this time was to help others, I don't agree with it. But I really can't stand it. A large number of human lives are so carelessly lost in your hands.
Looking at the Sea King swimming towards him, Jinbei clasped his hands together and apologized deeply. After apologizing in advance, the water around Jinbei rippled violently. Next moment, 8,000 square tiles, the sea current fell over my shoulders. Boom. The huge backflow of water was pulled tightly by Jinbei, and the next moment he was violently thrown out. The basilisk Sea Kings that was swimming towards me was knocked dizzy, blood flew everywhere, and its huge teeth shattered. Exclamation mark. Chapter 55 Jinbei, Doberman is dead. Get furious, angry beast. 3/4 please vote for flower evaluation. Before the basilisk Sea Kings could react. Immediately afterwards, a more compact and ferocious attack struck, and the belly of the basilisk Sea Kings dented crazily, causing the waves to surge. Boom boom. 3 seconds later, the basilisk Sea Kings was knocked out of the sea. Its huge body directly crushed a warship and almost collapsed the glacier beneath it.
However, this Sea Kings was directly killed by Jinbei's 3 moves. Under the glacier, Jinbei once again defeated a Sea Kings and several sea beasts. Jinbei exhaled heavily and wiped the sweat from his forehead. Just when he was about to continue his attack, he was suddenly startled, kicked his feet, and shot hundreds of meters away in an instant. The next moment, poof! The clothes exploded, and a bloody sword shot out from his shoulder. Hey, you salty fish, what do you want to do to my lovely pets? Under the glacier. A whale with a blue-gray body and a body shape that resembles an orc. It is 3 meters tall and nearly 4 meters long. There was a terrible sense of oppression all over his body, and he was looking at him with a grin on his face. The attack just now came from the monster in front of me. It was obvious that he had escaped, but he was still hit by Kun. You can speak human language. Suddenly, Jinbei seemed to realize something and spoke in surprise and shock. He even forgot to refute the fact that the other party called him salted fish. Don't make it sound like you are a normal lower-class human being. You are also a kind of monster in essence. Modi Zassi was speechless. Does this blue salted fish know what he is talking about? Forget it, I'm too lazy to talk nonsense to you, you don't deserve to hear it. After being speechless for a long time, Jinbei wanted to say something else. Mortizazi was too lazy to pay attention to him. Since this guy is with Marine, he is the enemy of His Majesty the King and her enemy. Then there is no reason to let it go. Wow, boom. Modi Zassi's figure disappeared in a flash, and after making a loud explosion in the seawater, it caused a shockwave and the current surge. It calmed down 2 seconds later, however. Jinbei was so nervous that he did not dare to relax at all. So fast, it's too fast, I can't catch it at all. It is obvious that the enemy is galloping under the sea at an extremely terrifying speed, but there is not even the slightest abnormal turbulence in the surrounding seawater. What a terrifying speed and water control ability. Even he, the darling fishman of the ocean in the sky, can't do such a thing. Moreover, his observation hockey cannot predict it at all. In the back, closing his eyes and listening to his mind and observation hockey's perception, Jinbei suddenly opened his eyes, raised his hand, twisted his waist, and punched the back with the strongest punch that gathered all his strength.
Fishman karate. Same was shoken. Poof. However, the next moment, a blue-gray monster arm came from his front, and now it penetrated him from his back. The majestic blue-gray claws tightly grasped a living heart, and squeezed it hard, crushing it to pieces. How is it possible that this could happen? Pooh.
A large amount of blood spurted out, and Jinbei looked at the claw that penetrated his chest with disbelief.
Oh. Withdrawing the arm that penetrated Jinbei's body, Mortazasi said in a sinister voice, "You weaklings want to fight with His Majesty. Are you qualified? On top of the glacier. Hehehehe. Lousy wants this guy." On the battlefield, Agilian Manos Grande was beaten to death by 3 Marine Vice Admirals and fell heavily. Gecko Moria laughed excitedly, just as he was about to step forward to pick up the body. With a snap, the huge Jillian corpse in front of him scattered into spirit particles and dissipated. Where is this lousy material? Will it collapse immediately if you die? Seeing the top quality material in front of her automatically decomposing like this, Moria felt so distressed that she couldn't breathe. Ho! Get away! Lousy! Suddenly, an angry roar sounded from not far away.
Just as Moria was about to look over, a figure flew backwards at extremely high speed, knocking him away. Who is it? Damn it! Unable to even dodge this sudden impact, Shichibukai's shame is worthy of its name. Peeved. Ahem. Monster. The person who knocked Moria away was none other than Marine Vice Admiral Stirs, who was wearing a beige suit. At this moment, his condition was extremely bad. Even though he had used Iron Body to defend himself, he was still punched away by the bald man with protruding horns. This punch almost killed him. 4 of his ribs were broken, and it felt like one of his internal organs had been ruptured. At this moment, Yammy was surrounded by 6 Marine Vice Admirals, launching a siege against him. It has to be said that Yammy under normal circumstances is really a la carte. He was actually surrounded and beaten by 6 Marine Vice Admirals, the most disgusting of whom was the dead old woman playing bubbles. Is this guy a monster? My slashing wave can only cause a little skin-breaking damage to him? Doberman said with an ugly expression. Doberman, who left a scar on Yammy's body, didn't notice it when he stopped and retreated. Yammy suddenly raised her head and rushed towards him. Doberman, be careful. The Vice Admiral next to him screamed in surprise, but Yammy had already arrived in front of Doberman and slashed out with his sword. Poof! Under the shocked and tearful gazes of the surrounding Marines, Doberman's Vice Admiral, who had no time to react, was cut into 2. Ha 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 ha, you scumbags Marine. Let's send you all on the road in one go. Get angry. Angry Beast. Chapter 56 Zero Blade. Yammy's powerful pressure. 4 quarters. Please vote for flower evaluation. Get angry. Angry Beast. On the glacier, half of Doberman's body was stepped on. Yammy raised the Zanpakuto in his hand and waved it, and at the same time read out the Zanpakuto's liberation words. Boom. The next moment, the huge red Ryotsu suddenly erupted from Yammy's body. The terrifying amount of Ryotsu soared into the sky, destroying the dark clouds that had gradually gathered in the sky due to the smoke generated by the initial shells. And in the red Ryotsu pillar that towered into the sky, a figure began to expand and grow, causing everyone who looked here to widen their eyes in shock. It feels so heavy. Why, can't you move anymore?
It's that monster's aura is too strong. On the battlefield, the Marines who were closer to Yammy's return were all incapacitated by the terrifying Ryotsu released when he returned. That's a double oppression on the soul and body. No matter how powerful the elite Marines around him are, their willpower is extraordinary. But in the face of soul crushing, basically not many people can still maintain the ability to move in this state. Many elites belonging to the weakest level were crushed to death by this wave of Ryotsu, which Yammy released all. In addition, Yammy released the soul-sucking ability when he fought with these Vice Admirals before and killed them. In total, more than 2,000 Marine elites died in Yammy's hands. What a veritable monster. A Jillian had just been killed, and hundreds of MTT dolphins also arrived. Seeing that a large number of the Marine elites were overwhelmed by the red Ryotsu and lost their mobility, the T-Dolphin sighed with emotion. It's not just the opponent's extremely terrifying unknown aura, it's as terrifying as Conqueror's hockey.
They were even more amazed and shocked by the terrifying huge figure that appeared in front of everyone after the red light disappeared. It is 70 or 80 meters tall, more than 100 meters long, has 12 huge and thick elephant legs, and a long tail that ends like a weight. All that was left on his body was a fig leaf in front of his crotch. The one number, 10, on the left shoulder completely disappeared, leaving only the word, 0. What kind of ability is this? Devil Fruit's abilities have never been seen before. The lower-level Marines don't know that this is the return of the members of the Espada Legion, their true form after releasing their full strength. But the Marine Vice Admirals know it very well because they have all seen the intelligence collected by CP0. There is also information that Perusolino once said personally. Seeing that Yammy, the Espada, was going all out, the Vice Admirals suddenly changed their faces and shouted. Everyone, all officers and soldiers of Rear Admiral and below should stay away from here and do not participate in the next battle. Yes. Feeling that the terrifying suppression on their bodies disappeared, many Marine elites responded one after another, and each of them quickly helped their colleagues stay away from this ghost place. Be honored, you scumbag Marines. Being able to fight against Mr. Yammy from the 0th Blade is the highest honor in your life. After liberating all the power he had accumulated in daily life, Yammy was no longer eager to kill the group of little grasshoppers in front of him. All he wants now is to slowly torture these annoying little grasshoppers to death, watching them with painful expressions and desperate cries. That would be fun, right? Ha 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 ha. Oh, aren't you the weakest Espada among the 10 Espadas? Why are you the 0th Blade? Staff officer he, who acted as an auxiliary, had a flash of light in his eyes, and suddenly realized that this was a good opportunity to gather information.
He quickly asked, the weakest? Humph ha 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 ha. What a joke. After hearing what staff he said, Yammy laughed, then her face darkened, and then said. Lousy Yammy Yargo is the strongest Espada. Who said Espada's word count is ranked from 1 to 10? Espada's numbers range from 0 blades to 9 blades. Quote.
Hearing this, the Vice Admirals all looked at the huge Yammy in horror. Damn. So, they actually faced off against the strongest Espada? Why don't you be so deceptive? You obviously chose someone who looks weaker, but turns out to be the strongest. How exactly is CP0's intelligence done? It's just a big piece of shit, such a serious intelligence leak. But it can only be accomplished if the Marines who perform the mission pay a heavy price. But how did they know that from the very beginning, the intelligence collected by CP0 was basically all Roy threw out to feed the dogs? How could it be possible to obtain important intelligence information? HMPH, that good-for-nothing Ulquiorra, can't even take down 2 Marine Admirals? Forget it, let's kill you all first, then hunt down the Marine Admiral. After that, Yammy stopped talking nonsense. Suddenly he raised his huge fist and smashed it hard at the Vice Admirals below. Get out of the way. No one needed to remind me that Vice Admiral was not a vegetarian in shaving, and he quickly dodged Yammy's punch. The huge fist hit the glacier, and the ice exploded, creating a huge crater. But it has not yet reached the point of collapsing and sinking. The ice age exerted by Aokiji is extremely powerful, freezing it to a depth of hundreds of meters, linking the islands of the Oganjana Kingdom. Otherwise it would be destroyed and sink. Even if a Kainu were called to attack with lava, the attack would only reach half the depth and would probably be completely offset by the ice. Senya Ghost Spider Slash. Taking advantage of Yammy's retraction of his fist, the Ghost Spider's figure flashed up into the sky and flashed to Yammy's chest. All 8 arms exuded the black energy of armament hockey. The katana held in the hand, the long-haired arm transformed by the return of life, was all infected with black swords.
The next moment, the Ghost Spider slashed out with his sword. All the strength and sword power in his body condensed into a Senluo Ghost Spider that rushed out boldly, transformed into a roaring beast, and struck Yammy hard on the chest. 90 points for posture, 80 points for speed, and 95 points for special effects. Damage 0 points. Nani. Unscathed. Watching the slashing wave explode after hitting Yammy's body, only a puff of smoke was raised. But Yammy's chest muscles were still shiny. Seeing that he couldn't even wipe off the opponent's body oil, Ghost Spider was completely stunned. Chapter 57 The Angry Beast of Despair. Rock Form. Please vote for flower evaluation. Not to mention the Ghost Spider Vice Admiral himself, there were several other Vice Admirals and T-Dolphins around him. Everyone was dumbfounded. Just a few minutes ago, their attacks could at least break Yammy's defense. But now, the Ghost Spider's slashing attack is actually ineffective against Yammy, and it can't even break the skin. It would be strange if the Flying Squirrel and Crane staff were not shocked by such an outrageous current situation. They have only seen people with such terrifying defense power in one other person. 4 Emperors Kaido of the Beasts. Without armament Haki, his terrifying physique alone can withstand most physical damage in the world. Even if he fell from a height of 10,000 meters and hit the ground, he was not injured at all. 6 Styles Wild Horse Spear. The other Vice Admirals were still shocked by Yammy's terrifying defense.
However, the T-Dolphin flew to Yammy's feet very quickly, with its armed fists clenched and white air flowing. The whole person turned into a shockwave, and then he raised his fists upwards, like a giant beast from ancient times, 2 thick fangs thrust out wildly. Click. The fangs dissipated, and the 2 armed fists of the T-Dolphin hit one of Yammy's elephant legs, and a strong shockwave penetrated through. One of Yammy's elephant legs was immediately interrupted, and the message, Sunday Thursday. Well done Gia. Let's go together now. The T-Dolphin's successful attack was undoubtedly a boost to the other Vice Admirals present. 620. Crusader. Mystery. Hell Ghost Spider Slash. Several Vice Admirals used their most powerful tricks one after another, and all attacked Yammy's lap. This guy's skin is really too thick. Only 12 elephant legs have little defense and can achieve the effect of breaking the defense.
But it's only limited to breaking defenses. Yammy not only has steel skin, but also has high-strength Reiatsu, and her defense is even stronger after returning to the sword. All the Vice Admiral's special moves were in vain, and Yammy only had 1 elephant leg covered in scars. It couldn't be said to be a serious injury at all.
After a few minutes of this, Flying Squirrel and the others discovered that the damage they had done to Yammy's body was too low. Yammy's terrifying defensive power made them all feel a sense of despair. Even Commander Crane's ability to cleanse the fruit at first was ineffective after Yammy died.
Armament Haki in one piece negates the effect of the fruit's ability. In the same way, Yammy's Reiatsu star is too big and the fruit washing ability doesn't work at all. No, it works, but it only lasts for a few seconds. Scumbag, I've played with you for so long, you can go die. Yammy, who was annoyed by the Flying Squirrel and T-Dolphin, simply stopped playing. Immediately start to explode with all your strength. False bullet. A scarlet blank bullet appeared instantly, and then exploded towards the Crane Vice Admiral who had been covered by several Vice Admirals. First of all, you are the first one, you damn old woman. The formation speed of the virtual bullet was almost instantaneous, and several Vice Admirals were confident that they could dodge it.
But who knew that the false bullet fired at Gia at the beginning was after Yammy's insidious move. Turning directly towards the Crane, Vice Admiral. Careful. The speed of the false bomb was extremely fast, giving Staff He no chance to escape. Tempest Kick. In an instant, the guards who were standing in front of Counselor He were on fire, and they joined forces with Volmisha, who was wearing a dog hood, to take action. 2 waves of vacuum chop waves shot out, colliding with the rapidly incoming virtual bullets. Boom! Before the 2 of them could take a breath, the next moment, more than a dozen blank bullets came one after another.
Damn! Is there no limit to the attack speed of this thing? Looking at the dozen or so flying bullets, the faces of Shu, Huo Shaoshan and Volmesha were ashen. HMPH. Pong. Boom boom boom. Suddenly, a wall of earth rose in front of several people, and a series of violent explosions sounded. All the dummy bullets hit the earth wall, blasting holes one after another. Several people looked up in confusion, only to find a 20-meter-long earth gold wild boar with a pair of huge tusks standing in front of them. Run! At this moment, Haki's rock and soil wild boar appeared in front of several people. It was none other than the T-Dolphin Kaji. Zone, Dolphin Fruit, Phantom Beast Species, and Rock Form. A new species of creature that looks like the mating of a mammoth and a wild boar is called the BFEH form. In the world of One Piece, creatures with strangely upgraded shapes and creatures that do not exist in reality are basically classified as fantasy beasts. HMPH. Is this all your strength? Seeing that the hidden strength of the T-Dolphin finally burst out, Yammy also smiled. What a good sandbag, it looks like it can be used to vent your anger again. Buster call main ship. Finally, more than half an hour after the war started. The high-end combat powerhouses from both sides were killed one after another, and Sengoku's mentality began to change. Gulmi, let Zon Momomaru activate all those guys.
If this delay continues, it will be very bad for our situation. As the marshal coordinating the overall situation, Sengoku clearly saw that on the huge battlefield, their marines were actually suppressed by the kingdom of Okugana. All the high-end combat forces have been pulled back, but the enemy still has a few high-end combat forces, and they are massacring Marine's side. It would be no exaggeration to say that Marine launched an all-out attack this time. Now those elites who were urgently summoned from various Marine branch bases are suffering unilateral killings. Seeing this dangerous situation happening, Sengoku could not sit still. But as the coach, he cannot take the initiative, otherwise the enemy's coach will also end early, and the entire battlefield will become more chaotic and bloody. Therefore, Sengoku can only release 30 pacifists in advance. If you don't take out the secret weapon, you may not have this chance. He quickly contacted Marines other the resourceful general consultant, a fat Mediterranean vice admiral. I understand. Also, be mentally prepared, Marshal. Gurmi responded in a deep voice. What he meant by psychological preparation, Sengoku naturally knew very well what Gurmi wanted to express. If you are really not sure of victory, then withdraw your troops. But now, Marine must win. By the way, where are the CPO guys? Isn't it said that we should work together internally and externally to disintegrate the enemy's internal strength and force the enemy's high-end combat power to return home? Why is there no news yet?
Suddenly, Sengoku remembered the existence of the CPO and hurriedly asked again. I almost forgot about these guys. If Sengoku remembers correctly, this group of people set out a while earlier than them. Why is there still no news at all? I don't know. I tried to contact them, but there was no response. Gurmi on the other end of the phone scratched his Mediterranean hairstyle and answered truthfully. That's it. After hanging up the phone, Sengoku's heart never returned to a calm state. There shouldn't be any surprises. I hope it's not too late. Chapter 58 Feet Tyrant Bear is here. Have you chosen a burial place for yourself? Please vote for flower evaluation. After receiving Sengoku's order, the situation on the battlefield suddenly changed.
With the emergence of pacifists from Taiwan to Taiwan, the war situation of mid to low-end combat power gradually began to be reversed. Great. They are the latest pacifists developed by the Scientific Research Department. Okay. Damn Manos Grande, let them see how powerful our Marines' high technology is. See Gui. Is this a pacifist created at the cost of a warship? Once a laser blast is fired, several or more than a dozen low-level virtual beings will be pierced and killed. Among them, there are many powerful hollows and giant hollows, all of which were turned into ashes under the merciless attack of the pacifists, and their spirits dissipated and merged into the world. This world has absorbed a different kind of energy, and changes that are unknown to others are quietly taking place. Facing the attack of the pacifist team, even Jillian Manos Grande had a record of being wiped out when facing several units at the same time. Soon, the low spirits on the field were wiped out on a large scale. The Marine Colonel, Commodore, Rear Admiral, and Vice Admiral joined forces to cooperate with the pacifists. Many Marine elites were spared to deal with powerful hollows, giant hollows, and Jillian at the same time. The Manos Grande Legion, which was originally unequal in numbers, suddenly suffered unprecedented heavy losses. Sun, Apache, Mira Rhodes. You go too. In the void, there is a Jillian holding a throne with both hands. The woman sitting on the throne is Haribel with her arms folded and an indifferent expression. Seeing the sharp decrease in the number of low-level phantoms in the Manos Grande Legion, she frowned imperceptibly.
The subordinate officer looked at the three sisters and said, "Yes, Lady Tia." Hearing this, the three sisters' subordinate officers immediately responded, started the ring, and instantly disappeared next to Haribel. A massacre started without end after the three subordinate officers and sisters were killed.
It's quite interesting, this kind of toy? On the battlefield, he threw a dying Marine Rear Admiral in his hand away. Grimjow looked at the three pacifists heading towards the future. An interesting expression suddenly appeared on his rebellious and handsome face. Even Jillian's trash can be wiped out by these combined robots. This was the first time I saw Grimjow. Suya Palace also has a research institute, and that guy from the 8th Blade does research every day. Of course Grimjow has seen it before, so naturally he won't be like a second-rate guy who knows everything. Target selected, searching. Ding, target locked, determined to be an enemy. Turn on the enemy annihilation mode. After the pacifists approached, the three stations simultaneously searched and determined Grimjow, but none of them searched for relevant information. But the other party's appearance, uniform, characteristics, and other information are all consistent with the data in the database compiled by Marine. A few seconds later, Grimjow was identified as a person from the Oganjana Kingdom, and his identity was a member of the Espada Legion. Click. Crackling, sizzling. Suddenly, a white figure flashed past, and the Marine elites who were on guard against Grimjow all around heard bursts of destruction sounds and the sound of electric current failure. Later, when they saw what happened on the field, they were all horrified beyond measure. Huh? What are you talking about? On the ground, the core of the three pacifists who had just locked Grimjow's identity had been taken out. There were traces of destruction all over its body, and the bionic skin was broken open, revealing a body full of mechanical and electronic internal structures. It only took a moment, and the surrounding Marine elites didn't even react. The three pacifists were instantly destroyed and lost their ability to move. With such terrifying strength, it is no wonder that even Carlo Rear Admiral and Acto Vice Admiral were killed by each other just now. Hey, look, this guy. This guy is a member of Espada. Look at his waist. 6. It's the 6th Espada. This guy.
At this time, Marine, who was standing behind Grimjow, saw the number printed on his lower back. Suddenly his face changed drastically, and he screamed loudly in fear.
Upon hearing this, the faces of many Marine elites instantly turned to horror. +7. What a powerful term this is. Even Espada needs at least 4 or 5 elite Marine Vice Admirals to surround and kill him.
How scary is this guy ranked 6th? Get out of the way.
Great eruption. Suddenly, a deep shout came from behind the Marines. Immediately afterwards, everyone around him saw a dark red figure, breaking through the siege, and suddenly came to Grimjow. Hot crimson lava spurted out from Sakazuki's arm, condensed into a huge fist of magma, and blasted straight towards Grimjow's face. Boom! The hot lava directly hit Grimjow. The lava continued to spurt uncontrollably, and Sakazuki had no intention of stopping. Damn Espada, don't even try to escape. Just die like this. Realizing that he had not actually hit Grimjow, Sakazuki turned around and his entire body turned into lava. The entire right arm turned into shrinking magma, and then he punched the back angrily. Snapped. However, in response to this fast and destructive attack, Grimjow lightly extended his palm. It completely blocked it. The extremely hot magma did not do any harm to Gri 0.2 Myo. This strange phenomenon made Sakazuki's face suddenly change, his pupils narrowed, and he felt a chill in his heart. Hey, don't make one mistake. It's not me who is on the run, but you. Have you chosen a burial place for yourself? Chapter 59 Grimjow vs Akainu Sengoku. Please subscribe automatically. The physical body alone can easily withstand magma energy of thousands of degrees Celsius? Of course not. Grimjow relies on condensation on the palm to form a layer of extremely compressed Ryotsu membrane. If you look carefully, you can find the slightly shimmering Ryotsu film on Grimjow's palm. But in front of Sakazuki's crimson glowing magma energy, naturally no one can detect this subtle light.
It has to be said that Grimjow's move of taking the sword with bare hands and connecting with the ultimate move from level A really shocked countless people. Even the terrifying temperature of magma can be absorbed without changing its expression. What kind of monster is this?
Don't get too carried away, kid. While I was on a mission to catch pirates on the sea, you were still crying for milk. Sakazuki knew that the man in front of him was not easy to deal with, but he did not lose his temper. Throughout his decades of military service, Sakazuki has never been intimidated by anyone. Even the four emperors, he dared to fight one-on-one. Grimjow, who heard Sakazuki's speech, just wanted to laugh at him.
When Lousy was eating other Manos Grande in Hueco Mundo and evolving, you were still reincarnated dozens of times. However, Sakazuki obviously would not give him this opportunity. 430. Pull back your fist and attack again. The dog bites the red lotus. The right arm turned into magma, a bright yellow light erupted, and a hell dog pounced on Grim. Ha! Interesting. Sero. Grimjow used the virtual bullet without hesitation, and the scarlet Sero condensed into shape, and exploded out in the next moment. The powerful Sero made an explosive buzzing sound and swallowed up Sakazuki's magma hell. Boom. Seeing the scarlet beam of light still coming towards him, Sakazuki cursed secretly and quickly dodged away. But his dodging movement undoubtedly gave Grimjow the opportunity to attack. Grimjow's ring was activated, and he caught up with Sakazuki in an instant. He raised his slender right leg and whipped it out with a whip.
What? Feeling the strong wind coming from his side, Sakazuki was surprised and quickly raised his arms to block it. Pung! The powerful and heavy force directly swept Sakazuki away and smashed into a warship, breaking countless layers of plywood along the way.
Shoo flash. Grimjow raised his arm again, with the 5 fingers of his palm making a claw-like shape. He grinned, and an arrogant smile appeared on his face. Regardless of who was in front of him, Scarlet Reiatsu condensed in his palm and then burst out. Ah! Oh help! Damn guy ah! Rumble! The terrifying Sero beam penetrated hundreds of meters, swallowing hundreds of lives in the process, and then directly bombed the warship that Sakazuki crashed into. In a chain reaction, the 2 nearby warships were dragged into the smelting hell, and rumbling explosions sounded continuously. Ha 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 ha! Stop pretending to be dead and get out of here. Under the continuous destruction, Grimjow laughed wantonly.
How could the magma ability user die from such a level of attack?
What's more, the other party is a magma man. Is he still afraid of the damage caused by the explosion? Great eruption. The truth is just as Grimjow thought. I saw a burst of steaming mist emitting from the solid ice under my feet, quickly becoming hot and red. Immediately afterwards, a huge fist of lava broke through the ice, and the hot fist of lava hit Grimjow. Go to hell, Espada. Dark Hound. The huge magma fist attacked Grimjow from the front, while Sakazuki himself attacked from his side. Sakazuki's attack route completely blocked all of Grimjow's escape routes. No matter which way he dodges, he will be hit heavily by him. Ah! Drink. However, facing such a double attack, Grimjow roared loudly, and his powerful Reiatsu suddenly exploded.
Buzz. The sound of space trembling sounded, and Shalamchow's engines suddenly disappeared. Nani? You can fucking disappear in front of my eyes? Seeing Grimjow suddenly erupting with terrifying momentum and then disappearing, Sakazuki's face became furious. The next moment, Sakazuki froze, and cold sweat oozed from his forehead. The back of his head was actually grabbed by a pair of big hands. Then the whole person jumped into the air and was caught in the sky. Ha 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 ha. Hearty and bohemian laughter resounded throughout the sky. Dog bites Gurren. Sakazuki, whose head was caught, would not surrender, so he transformed into a rock to escape from Grimjow's control. But he was horrified to find that after being held by Grimjow's big hand on his head, he could not turn into lava immediately. At least, the restrained head cannot be like this, unless he chooses not to have his head. This discovery suddenly made Sakazuki feel terrified. But he found that the magma ability can still be used in other body parts. So he gritted his teeth and raised his hand to fire out the magma Cerberus, trying to force Shalamchow to let go of him. Grimjow simply accelerated and flipped in the air and easily dodged the attack.
What a pathetic human being. You can't even fly. You don't even have the ability to stand in the void. How dare you ask your majesty to initiate a war? In the sky, Grimjow glanced at Sakazuki with a playful expression. Hearing what Grimjow said, Sakazuki's face turned dark. Who knows what race of ghostly creatures Humanos Grande and Espada are? Unexpectedly, each of them can stand in the void and fly freely in the sky. Get down. Suddenly, Grimjow broke out into a smile. He looked at Sakazuki with a weird smile, then lifted up Sakazuki's body and gave it a hard swing downwards. Dumping Sakazuki directly, this sudden change almost didn't give Sakazuki's students a discount. But fortunately, all parts of the body can be magnetized. What exactly is this? Recalling the terrifying moment just now, Sakazuki felt terrified in his heart. Before he could think about it, Grimjow was already chasing him down at a faster speed. Great eruption. Seeing this, Sakazuki, who was still falling rapidly, raised his hand and fired out the Great Eruption Magma Fist. Break it apart. The latter smiled disdainfully, raised his right hand straight up, and then slashed down. The blue Reiatsu slash cuts the magma into pieces. Pung. Sakazuki opened his mouth and spit out a mouthful of blood, his body arched like a shrimp, and Grimjow chased him and kicked him in the abdomen. Click. It's the sound of bones breaking. The figure falling from the sky attracted the attention of many people. After seeing clearly who the falling person was, many people looked horrified. Most people want to leave the place quickly to avoid being directly killed or affecting the fish in the pond. Boom. Ha. Pung. PFF'd. When it hit the ice hard, Sakazuki had already turned into a pool of magma. But Grimjow, who followed closely behind, smiled ferociously and kicked down hard. Sakazuki vomited blood, and the ice beneath him couldn't bear the heavy blow, burst into a large mass, and then collapsed. Mr. Akainu. That guy is a member of Espada. Damn it. Isn't Akainu Admiral even a match? The surrounding Marines were all shocked when they saw this scene, and their eyes were full of disbelief. The extremely powerful Akainu Admiral was actually hung up by a new Espada member. Many Marines started to feel fear at this time, and some Marines even started to run back, trying to find a place to hide and wait for the end of the war. It is clearly said that the Espada Legion is only as strong as 2 people, and the rest are just makeup. But this is the number 6 printed on the back. This is only the 6th position, and he can challenge Admiral alone, or even beat him. How to play this? They dare not intervene in the battle between high-end combat forces, and they cannot see the hope of victory. Then you can only escape. Saving your life is more important than anything else. What's more, this was the fault of the world government Celestial Dragons from the beginning. They don't want to die in vain fighting for the Celestial Dragons. Damn Espada. Sakazuki's face turned extremely ugly after suffering heavy blows one after another. I don't know how many bones in his body were broken. He was beaten stiff now and couldn't escape even if he wanted to.
These Espada are just too difficult to deal with. 1.9. This guy in front of me is even more so. Not only is it fast, it is powerful and its destructive power is amazing. Moreover, he had just suppressed his fruit ability, which caused him to display his strength abnormally and was beaten violently.
It's time to send you on your way, Marine. The red light was condensing, and Grimjow showed a healthy smile. He planned to release Sero and kill Sakazuki. Do you really think that I don't exist? Unexpected. Dazzling golden light bloomed, golden beams and golden light appeared, covering this area, and circles of golden light waves spread out. At the same time, a voice as thick as a bell sounded in his ears. Grimjow's eyes narrowed slightly, his smile became wider, and the condensed scarlet Sero in his hand quickly extinguished. The golden Buddha's eyes flashed with confusion, and the next moment he suddenly shouted loudly and then took action boldly.
Grimjow's newly condensed Sero disappeared, but instantly appeared on the other hand and shot towards him. Sero. Buddha's Impact. Chapter 60 The Mutinous Marine. Please subscribe automatically. The Scarlet Sero collides with the shockwave of the Golden Buddha. The two energies collided fiercely, and within just a few seconds, they exploded. The shock waves of one gold and one red collided, and strong wind pressure swept across the entire place. The fierce wind roared, and everyone around was blown away. Buddha's Impact. Before the light waves erupted after the collision of the two energies dissipated, Sengoku had already raised his hand seal again and blasted out the impact energy compressed into a ball with one palm. Ha 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 ha, That's what it feels like. Sero. Feeling the powerful aura released by Buddha Sengoku, Grimjow laughed wildly in excitement. With 5 fingers of his palm clasping together, the Scarlet Sero Ryotsu condensed again and clashed with the shock wave. Look, it's Martial Sengoku using his fruit power. What a magnificent and sacred Buddha light. This is the first time I've seen a martial using his fruit ability. When the Marines saw this scene, they all exclaimed inside 15. Many of the Marines have never seen Sengoku take action, let alone witnessed Sengoku using devil fruit against enemies. Now that they have witnessed Sengoku's giant Buddha form with their own eyes, all Marines who see it are amazed. They have obviously retreated from a distance of 2 to 3 kilometers, but across this long distance, they can still feel the terrifying shockwave generated when the two sides fight. Under the tremendous pressure generated by this confrontation between strong men, the thrill of adrenaline rush is self-evident. Some people's willpower collapses because they can't bear the pressure, while others adapt to this high-pressure environment and then break through and become stronger. War is always the proving ground that can make people truly transform and become stronger. It's really interesting, that's what it's supposed to be like. You are much stronger than that guy, not only in terms of physical strength, but also in terms of your soul. Stronger than ordinary people. What a delicious soul. It's a pity that I have passed that period long ago. Otherwise, you would be of the highest quality. After the second shock wave collided with Sero, Grimjow directly fought with Sengoku, and the two sides fought hard. With Grimjow's powerful white hits ability, and Buddha's Sengoku's physical skills, the battle was actually a draw. As a result, Buddha's Sengoku was slightly ahead of Grimjow, temporarily occupying the top spot. This not only did not make Grimjow show a panicked expression, instead, he gradually became more excited, wild and fierce. As for Sengoku himself, his expression was very different from Grimjow's excitement. Because he knows very well that every member of Espada has the ability to return to the sword and liberate the calendar area with all its strength. He has already used Devil Fruit's ability. Although he has not used all his strength, the opponent still tied with him with normal power. Big trouble. After realizing the seriousness of the situation, Sengoku felt depressed. Now he can only hope that Chado, Momoshagi and Paluzalino Kuzan can quickly eliminate the opponent's high-end combat power. Then go support others, or else. The mighty Buster Call launched by Marine this time will become a complete joke. In fact, Sengoku still had a guess in his heart that even he was not willing to believe. It's just that he couldn't believe it, but soon, he began to think more. Grimjow, once again using the dodge to attack him. Faced with Grimjow, Espada is an expert at playing white hits and Sero. He also likes to fight with each other, and suddenly he will attack you with a face-to-face Espada. Sengoku was really tired and secretly scolded Akainu that guy had gone somewhere. It's been so long, but you still haven't come to help him take down Grimjow as soon as possible. What Sengoku didn't know was that, the moment the two Sero shockwaves exploded against the waves, Sakazuki was blown away by the shockwave. After recovering some of his injuries, Sakazuki didn't think there was any problem with Sengoku fighting Grimjow alone. Just thinking about getting rid of other high-end combat powers, Sakazuki turned around and met another ruthless person. On the other side of the battlefield, Momoshagi Gion, who is also an admiral candidate, encounters the fairy queen Urza Kaledo. Urza, who is good at using the night dress-up magic, is simply a delicate and blooming flower on the entire battlefield. Magic suits with different attributes were used to deal with different enemies. Although at Roy's request, the changes were extremely conservative. It's not as open and astringent as in the original work, but when worn on Urza, it's still incredibly beautiful and colorful. The different magic suits and the powerful strength displayed have already made some Marines stop and admire them with indulging expressions. There are even some pornographic commentators who have rebelled. This made Urza feel a little funny. But Urza, who is cheerful and upright by nature, still angrily said, "You idiots, please wake up. We are enemies. Do you know that your behavior will lead to a military court? Get me back to normal quickly." What just surprised Urza. Her scolding did not make these people realize the seriousness of the matter. On the contrary, because of her frank and upright behavior, she became even more enthusiastic. As a result, the following heaven-defying declarations were made. Ah. The scolding Urza-sama is so cool. I'm dead. Damn it. What should I do? She makes me like her even more. Miss Urza, please let me be your dog. Down with Marine. Down with world government. Down with Buster Call. Let Urza-sama be the Marine Admiral. I will follow you. That's right. The rebellious Marine elites spoke one after another. In this regard, most of the Marines are normal people, and they curse these Marine traitors. Hey, it's really nerve-wracking. This beautiful lady, did you really not use any charm magic on them? Looking at such a group of useless Marines, Momosagi also sighed helplessly while holding his forehead. He raised his hand to his forehead, and the current huge one stirred a little.